consecutive night. Austin Cindric will take the checkered flag.
Burton's going back to victory lane in NASCAR.
Harrison Burton wins again in 2020.
Drivers have been called to their cars. We're about to get the command. Before we do that, let's go to a blast from the past. Wally Dallenbach actually took a lap around the road course earlier today. We'll ride with him. Here's Wally's World.
Well, welcome to Daytona Motor Speedway, the road course. And yes, NBC has pulled me out of storage to take you around for a lap. So let's get with it. Let's see how these guys are going to react. Never going into turn one. Most of these guys have never driven this racetrack. Turn one is pretty deceiving. You can pull in a lot of speed here. Downshift, it's a real slow corner, but it's very deceiving. You can go in deep. You want to get really tight here. This little zigzag here is not really a spot you want to run side by side. Leads you to a little bit of a short chute that goes into the horseshoe. This place right here is all patience. You run in too hard, the car's going to push. It's not going to turn. If you get on the gas too early, your car's going to get sideways coming out of here. It's a really frustrating turn. Short chute now that leads up to the kink. You're going to be carrying a lot of speed through here. Most of the guys, I'm going to say, are going to be lifting. Breathe the throttle, make sure the front tires are going to stick. When they do, get hard on the gas again, and then you're back to the west horseshoe. Same deal. Takes forever to get around this corner. It's slow, but you really can't get aggressive because you'll lose a lot of time. So you just got to kind of roll through here, get it straight, get hard on the gas to this next short chute. I've been through this next corner a couple of thousand times, and I never feel like I've gotten it right. So I really can't help you. You're on your own here. Drive right up the racetrack, up the banking, right to the wall. I try to get as close to the wall as possible and then back down. Why do I get close to the wall? I just like getting close to walls. Coming out of turn two here, that's going to lead onto the backstretch. You just kind of run your own line here in the banking. You're going to see a lot of side-by-side here. Get on the backstretch. Again, unnecessarily close to the wall, and it's really just for my own amusement. Coming into the chicane here, this is a great passing place, but you've got to time it right. You don't want to come through here side by side. So if you're going to outbrake somebody, you try to want to get by them or almost by them. If you don't, the guys behind you are going to make up a lot of time, and they're probably going to pass you here. Now, normally when I get to this part of the banking, the 31 degrees banking at Daytona, I kind of like to take a moment for a selfie. Now we're coming to the last chicane. This is new to everybody, even myself. So we're coming right down here out of turn 4 on the oval. You're going to be really getting on the brakes here, downshifting. You're going to carry a lot of speed through here. It's very, very, very tight. These guys hit these bumpers. There's going to be a lot of damage. Out of the chicane and back to the start-finish line. Now, if it rains, you can expect a lot of chaos. And if you don't believe me, well, you wouldn't be the first.
Well, I believe him, and we have had rain today, and I think it's going to create a lot of problems for these guys. Now, this track dries really quickly, but where is that standing water? How slick are the curbs, Jeff?
Yeah, and Wally Dallenbach said he'd been through turn 6 a few thousand times. Well, today, these guys got it figured out in 52 laps. And many of these drivers have never even seen this racetrack. So it's sprinkling, it's raining, never seen a track before. Put rain tires on. Go get you some. Normal Saturday day, right?
Nothing normal about this day. And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, the Grand Marshal of today's race, the president of the University of Northwestern Ohio, Dr. Jeff Jarvis.
On behalf of everyone at the University of Northwestern Ohio, it's Daytona on NBC Sports. Drivers, start your engines.
Maybe the most anticipated sound we have heard in a very, very long time. Again, a lot of Cup drivers are going to be watching this as well. What's going to happen? The road course next for the Xfinity Series.
Onto the front straightaway.
Halfback split down, trying to get inside. He is there, inside.
Hard on the brakes. He takes the lead away.
That was an incredible move.
Nice and smooth here, bud. You're pulling away.
the first running of the Xfinity Series on the road course at Indianapolis, and the Indiana boy is going to win it.
Let's go! 2 laps to go here in Road America. Green flag back in the air. Here comes Cindric. Oh no! Allmendinger nearly spun.
Allmendinger just 1 car length off the rear bumper of Austin Cindric.
It's the Ford of Cindric, the Chevy of Allmendinger.
Squealing their tires through the final turn, trying to make it happen. They come rocketing up the hill. Checkered flag is waving. His 4th win in 2020.
NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing, University of Northwestern Ohio, 188 at the Daytona Road Course. History is being made as we're seeing the cars make their way around this famous road course, most famous for the Rolex 24 at the beginning of the year. As we see the starting grid, a little bit different. There's a formula that comes in. It's not a random draw anymore, Steve.
No, it's a formula. Basically, your performance, where you're at in points, how fast you were last week. That gives Cindric and Briscoe the front row. 2 of the favorites today. Another favorite has to be Andy Lally back in row 3. So much road course racing experience.
Back here, Allmendinger in row 6. He'll be one that everyone will be watching. See if he can once again get to victory lane. He's won in the Xfinity Series 3 times on road courses.
Yeah, all the way back in row 15, Earl Bamber. A lot of conversation. International sports car drivers, so much success on the international stage. Can that success carry over to the Xfinity car?
A couple cars you see going to the rear. Reyes is Kroons also. Leading the field as the official pace car for today's race is the 2020 Toyota GR Supra. We actually just saw that with the piece with Wally Dallenbach Jr. He was out there on the course in that pace car taking a selfie. I'm sure that the pace car driver is not doing that as he's pacing the field around this course. NASCAR has called it a wet racing surface. So, Steve, when they come to pit road this time, they can put the wet tires on.
Not a can, a must. Because NASCAR has determined it to be wet, all the drivers, all the teams will be required to start this race on the wet tire. The other requirement is the red running light in the rear window of these vehicles. Those are the 2 rules you must come to. But the difference is, windshield wiper, you want to have that, and you want to have the defroster, but those are optional. That's really a performance thing. The tire and the running light required by NASCAR.
All right, so they will be doing that when they come by next time or come onto pit road. Before they do that, Junior, let's dial up Justin Haley.
Hey, Justin Haley's Dale Jr. in the booth. You got us? Justin Haley, Dale Jr. in the booth. You got us? Yeah, a little issue there. Getting a hold of Justin. We'll try him here in a bit.
All right, let's take a look at the track map. They're working their way through 6 right now and getting out onto the high banks here. Guys, take us through it.
Yeah, so you see turn 1's going to be a really interesting corner, but a few trouble spots inside of the racetrack. Let's look at turn 3 and turn 5. The reason I want to focus on those heavy braking zones entering those corners, that means an opportunity to pass. Drivers pushing to make something happen. We can see contact in those areas.
We got 2 chicanes, one on the back straightaway. Both of them are high speed, but if you miss the mark here, you're going into the wet grass. Remember, it's rained here all day, so that could be a tough one on the back straightaway, getting your car in that mud. Then on the front straightaway, newer chicane is much like the one at the Roval, and you see all the asphalt. If a guy misses it there, he can pretty much safely get back onto the racetrack and not damage his car. Should be pretty interesting to seeing how they negotiate those 2 chicanes today.
Top of the screen there, we see 3.61 miles. Pretty long road course.
Yeah, it's very long. I'm not as long as last week's Road America, but for what I'm accustomed to, you know, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, this is much longer. We expect lap times, you know, up in the minute 50-something second range, so very long laps. You see the cars rolling around right here, kind of getting an eye on the racetrack. A 52-lap race. First stage, 15 laps. Second stage, 15 laps. Final stage, 22 laps. Fuel window, you could put about 10 more question marks there, Rick. You know, everybody I talk says it's somewhere 18 to 20 laps would make that final stage very awkward. It's just outside the fuel window, but that's really an educated guess, as is really everything we're going to see here for the next 2 or 3 hours.
I like you said that it's an educated guess. Speaking of educated, let's go to pit road. We'll start with Dylan Welch.
And Rick, for Justin Allgaier, it's been a season of twists and turns, figuratively speaking. Consistency, especially in recent weeks, has been hard to come by, but the curves of the Daytona Road Course today are a cause for optimism for this team. Now, while he doesn't have the laps maybe of an Andy Lally or an A.J. Allmendinger, he does have the knowledge of winning races on road courses. The team hopes that that knowledge and some lady luck can push them towards their first victory of 2020. Dave?
Dylan, today, Chase Briscoe will start second. He has more wins on the 2020 season than any other driver, but it's been 5 races since he won. So is it a slump? I talked to his crew chief, Richard Boswell, this morning about that, and he said right now we're just getting beat. And as he knows, this looms very close to the playoffs. So they've got to get it back together. They hope today they can get back on their winning ways in 2020. Parker?
Well, Dave, as we watch these cars go around the pace lap, and Steve, you alluded to it, the wet racetrack out there. Well, what do you do in a wet racetrack? You put on wet tires. The problem we have here is this racetrack is obviously drying, and it is not raining, so these teams are putting these tires on knowing that very quickly they'll probably lose the performance in these tires. If you look at them, you see those grooves in the wet tires. That's what makes the grip in the wet. But all those blocks and those grooves, those go away when you run on a dry track very quickly, and therefore they'll lose performance.
All right, so Rick, a change by NASCAR. They have moved it from a wet condition to damp. What that really means, what the fan needs to know, is what tire you start the race on now is totally optional. It's up to the crew chief. It's no longer NASCAR saying everyone has to start on the reins. Now it's a brand new racetrack and your driver has to go, and you see some cars rolling through pit road. That means they're going to stay on slicks. Noah Gragson rolled through. Other cars are in the pit box. They're going to put on treaded tires if they stop. So strategy already right away. You heard in the pre-race show, Brad Doherty said I would throw my notebook out. It's already gone. I've thrown it out with this decision right here. This is a major curveball for the race teams. You know, what tire combination you want to start on. And I really, you know, guys, drivers, we were talking about, I didn't think it looked very wet. You mentioned a couple standing water issues. This is going to have to be a driver decision in my mind. I don't think I can help you from the pit box.
A driver decision with a lot of drivers that haven't had no way of making this decision, right? They have no experience. They don't have a background to make the decision on what tire to put on. So very difficult position for young drivers, well, not young drivers, but inexperienced drivers to make that decision. Almost want that decision to come from the pit box if possible.
And I want it to come from the car.
Exactly.
That's
the problem we're going to have here, Steve.
The majority of the racetrack is going to dry right off real quickly, but down in turn 6, there's probably some standing water in the racing groove, maybe in the trough as the cars exit the trioval down onto the entrance to the road course. It holds water there pretty well. So those will be the only issues, I think, if you're a driver that you need to pay attention to right now while you're under pace laps. So you can kind of dodge those problems as the track dries up really quickly.
22 of Austin Cindric will start up front. We mentioned that he was on pole, and he didn't stop for tires. So there's a driver that is going to start on slicks. He's the first one that's going to get into turn 1.
Coming through turn 5 right here. When you exit this corner, it's a little short straightaway into turn 6, and that's where I think most of the standing water is going to be. Actually,
2 sets of rain tires for the Xfinity Series.
That's an issue as well. You know, you use them now and it wears them out quickly. You only have 1 set left if it rains later.
We'll ride along with a few different drivers. There's going to be some pretty good perspective here, guys.
Yeah, see right here, Brandon Godovic, a lot of road course racing experience. The Winstacks Energy camera. It'll be fun watching him drive today.
Got Jeff Burton's son, Harrison Burton, with the Toyota camera. Should have a great car today, and a good-looking camera there. Looking back at Harrison.
Justin Haley, leaf filter, giving us these shots today. Justin will be in the battle. He told me this morning that if he's not contending for the win, something's gone wrong. He thinks he can win this race today.
Let's give it one more try to get a hold of Justin. See if we can talk to him about his race car. Justin Haley, Dale Jr. in the booth. You hear us? I can see him keying the mic. Doesn't look like we can hear him.
He wants to talk to you. He's trying.
You know, I think the one thing that I'd be interested in knowing is what kind of grip does the rain tire have? You know, a lot of these guys have that experience. I've ran on a rain tire in IMSA competition, but never the NASCAR rain tire.
Well, I was going to say, you know, I have a question about tires as well. I think we can eavesdrop into the 98 and a conversation about tires here.
Damp, but I was trying to get our pit road speed. I didn't know what damp. I mean, I didn't know what even damp meant. I thought damp meant we were going to wet.
They can't tell us for the 30 minutes leading up to the race that it's a wet track and then change it coming to pit road.
So basically that's frustration is, so listen, there's 3 classifications. There's dry, which means the field will start on slicks. There's wet, which means the field will start on rain tires. And then there is damp. And Rick, damp means it's up to you. And you know, this is NASCAR. This is not new to road racing. This is not new to this track, right? We see this in sports car racing all the time, where the strategy of what tire to start on falls on the, you know, responsibility of the team. That's where this is, and it's split in these 2 cars right here out the back of the pace car. The 22 of Cindric is on slick tires. He's going to love those tires. Everywhere it's dry, they're going to have way more grip. Right behind him, the 98 of Chase Briscoe, he's on rain tires. So his concern is what Dale Jr. was saying, what kind of grip it'll be. The other concern I have is those tires are going to fall apart in the dry. They have to run cool. I don't see enough wet areas to cool rain tires, so it'll be interesting to see if they have to change their mind here, if they are going to commit to the wets.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, you see a lot of turn 3 and 4 is dry right up against the wall, you can see, but way off in the distance there, it's a little wet up against the fence as the water's trying to run out of that safer barrier. You're going to have to take that rain tire and find moisture to keep the temperature out of it so that it doesn't destroy that tire.
Right now they're doing pit road speed. 45 miles per hour is what pit road speed is, because the first time they were on pit road, they had the choice of pitting, so they didn't do pit road speed there. This time it is specifically for pit road speed so that they can set their tacks.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. Like we saw a lot of cars passing Briscoe. Like Briscoe was really slow going down pit road. It's really interesting. You listen to that Briscoe conversation about tires. They were under the impression you had to put on wet tires, right? And that's just, this series only runs a few road course races a year. It's something different, right? And you're just not completely comfortable, and terminology can mean something. And they heard damp, but that didn't trigger saying, hey, we don't have to put on tires versus wet, meaning you have to put them on. And now here they are, potentially at a big disadvantage.
Yeah, the devil's in the details. And I'm going to tell you, though, when you talk about details and new tracks, Chase Briscoe is the man when it comes to new racetracks. It started in Charlotte at the Roval in 2018. Was the one who found the most success here at the Roval, the high banks, the infield, a lot of conversation, Junior. Then they go to Indianapolis, and this 3-wide move I know you loved.
I did. I mean, he really worked to take this win away from these guys. And it tells me that he can really adapt really quickly to new things. I think he'll be in the mix today. Cindric, I believe, has the raw ability and speed, but Chase just digs deep and gets like to a different level when he needs to, and does some great things. Certainly did that in Indianapolis this year.
Saw there 3 for 3 at new tracks. They want to make it.
You see him going down there.
He's going to go for some water.
Getting some water on them tires. Not even going fast.
But look at this high speed, this really high speed part of the racetrack. It's dry. Yeah. That is going to eat those tires up. We're also hearing that the 10 right behind the 98 of Ross Chastain, we're hearing he has rain tires on as well.
I wonder why they have that procedure. Why don't they just allow the crew chiefs to manage this, the drivers to manage this on their own, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know the why. I know that there's been a lot of discussion on how the owners and the drivers want this to go, and I think at one point they wanted it to be determined either wet or dry, and then I think you got to this point where NASCAR doesn't want to make the determination because of the track surface. That's how they came up with this damp procedure. Jeff mentioned it. You know, we just haven't seen a lot of wet weather starts. We've seen some wet weather issues in the middle of the race, but this is one of the only few I can remember where we started in at least a little bit of a wet condition.
Yeah, it just shows you how easily you can get confused and kind of get behind a little bit. Be interesting to see how this works out. I know, could it be an advantage? I mean, the other guys have made a mistake by putting slicks on. We don't know that.
Well, it's so interesting watching these guys warm up, because Austin Cindric, who has the slicks on, he's trying to heat his tires up, get as much grip as he can in them. Whereas we have the 98, he's going as straight as he can. He doesn't want to do any damage to those. All right, so we have a guy making his first start in the Xfinity Series, but he has so much experience at this place Earl Bamber. Listen into his radio.
Did a lot of cars take wet spin? Question? I think a lot of these guys are going to be in trouble after a lap because there's more dry area than there is wet. They're going to be chasing that wet area to try to get them cooled down, I think, you know what I mean? Mate, it is so dry out here.
Bone dry.
Bone dry.
I'm telling you, if I'm sitting on wets, I'm considering coming to the green and putting slicks on. I just don't think there's anywhere near enough wet. And Rick, you've showed this a bunch to all the drivers that have experience on this racetrack.
There's the experience. We mentioned Earl Bamber with plenty of experience, and the list of names that have been on the road course here at Daytona. Obviously not in a stock car. That has not happened as of yet, but it's about to happen.
So Rick, for the strategy to work fuel-wise, these guys on wets need to try to get to like lap 10 or 11 or 12. That's a long time, drivers. I'm not sure we're going to be able to make 10 laps on these wet tires.
There's no rain coming. Like, there's no rain coming for these guys on wets to save them.
Pace car is off. Field in the hands of Austin Cindric. Cindric, Briscoe making up row one. History being made today. The Xfinity Series on the road course at Daytona. So much anticipation for this right here. Turn one for the first time.
Both our guys on the front row missed turn one entirely. Cindric and Briscoe back to third and fourth. Such an advantage, I guess, being on that second row to watch those other guys go in there and see how they handle it.
Through the kink, it's Noah Gragson who's out front now. Cindric and Briscoe running in the second and third position, but here comes Briscoe on the outside.
This is turn 5. It's got a 180-degree corner now heading into turn 6, which will be the exit of the infield up onto the high banks.
All right, this corner's wet. This corner down here is going to be tough for these guys on slicks. Noah's going to miss the corner just a little bit, but he gets the power down a little bit better than the 22. Oh, you almost. It's a little loose right there on that transition across that paint. They could paint it over that yellow line. That's going to be really slick for a little bit till that dries off.
The first time down in this back chicane. It's a heavy braking zone. This is where experience will really matter.
Here's that restart. Cindric and Briscoe getting down in the corner. Both really lucky to not get too deep into the grass there, because that grass, you know, is going to have zero grip.
Now listen to how long they're out of the gas, how slow that corner is.
This is coming out onto the high banks.
Oh, before that. Yeah, before he got to that paint, the car stepped out. Oh, we got a car pulled over on the racetracks in the 98. I think
Briscoe.
he missed the chicane on the front straightaway and had to come to a stop. NASCAR wants you to come to a stop if you miss the chicane. He does that. Remember, he's got the rain tires on, probably doesn't have the braking ability or the turning ability or grip in the corner that he's accustomed to.
And if you don't make that, if you don't stop on the racetrack, it's a stop and go penalty. You got to come down pit road and stop.
It's such a discipline for a driver to be on a tire with less grip, to not drive in the corner with the other cars that are on the slicks. He's trying to maintain as much track position as he can, but he knows that he can't get into the corner like some of these other guys can. Let's see what happened. And he just got it. That started way back on the entry to that chicane. He's offline, couldn't get back to the left to be able to get pointed toward the apex that he needed. Got somebody with a huge lockup. 39 a Sieg. He's going to have to probably get that tire looked at. He won't survive a lockup like that here, guys, because of how much time you're in the banking up on the oval at high speed.
So, you know, we talked about this at the Roval, Junior. You bring up a great point. You know, Charlotte's one thing. It's a 1.5 miles, you know, relatively high bank. But this is Daytona. This is as high as banking's getting in NASCAR, and long. These corners are very long at 31 degrees. So you mentioned that loading. That would be my biggest concern as a crew chief, you know, is I want my car to have good handling down here in the bus stop where we change direction. But as we climb the banking here, we got to make sure the splitter stays off the ground, that the tires don't have too much camber, that they can survive a fuel run.
Just right along with Haley here. Let's see how he navigates this front straightaway chicane. This is something that they put in specifically for the NASCAR races. Whoa! Big trouble.
Another miss.
Watch him come across.
Two misses. Now they'll both have to come here and stop.
Move back. You got to stop. You're going to have to stop. You're going to have to stop.
All four right side tires were on the wrong side of the curbing, so they're going to have to both stop.
Both colleague racing drivers right there, the 10 and 11. So Ross Chastain misses the entrance.
And Justin Haley misses the exit. You see how easy it is to miss that chicane.
Ross did a good, smart thing right there, though. Once he knew he was going to miss it, watch Ross Chastain right here. He throttles up. Go ahead and get out of it. Get out of it as quick as you can, then stop. That really was a smart thing to do. It also avoided collision.
Yeah, I was watching, as you're seeing the replay here, Noah Gragson's entry to the corner. He set that up by running a lot higher up on the banking of the NASCAR oval.
You got to give it back. You got to stop. You're going to
I wonder
stop.
why he's going up there, but it actually put him in a really good position to enter into that chicane and be able to brake straight line braking. You can't brake when you're turning the wheel.
Take a look at this, guys. This is coming into 6. Now, there is water all the way across the racetrack right here. So these guys on slicks, they're going to get them wet. There's standing water right here.
Yeah, they're looking wherever they can get that moisture to try to put the wets in that.
And you hear Haley struggling, going back to the throttle. That's just no grip. Running through that wet.
So again, some cars stopped on that first pace lap and put on wet tires. It was the team's option. Some put on the wet tires, others stayed on the slicks.
And Rick, we've already seen some teams change their mind. The 98 has come to pit road, taken off the rain tires, put the slicks on under green. Just, the wrong tire choice. Not a lot of experience at this facility, not a lot on the tires. So gone to slicks and put it back in the hands of your driver to try to make up some time as we're on board with Justin Haley, the 11th.
See Haley this time. Last time we rode along with him, we heard it wheel hop, missed the corner, got through there really well.
That's the way to get through there.
A little side-by-side here on the high banks. Again, that's the 0-2 of Andy Lally, a 45-year-old out of Northport, New York, and a very experienced road racer as Haley misses the turn there, and Lally's going to get back by.
All that work that he had to do to get by Andy Lally in one corner, just overshot the corner, and now he's got to go back to work, try to get it again.
Let's get to the radio of Justin's car, see what they're talking about.
These guys off of Big Track 4 get to the wall to set their entry into the chicane. Did you guys work on that in the sim at all? Yeah, we worked on it quite a bit, honestly.
That's what I was talking about with Noah Gragson getting up against the fence through NASCAR 4. To set up the entry to that final chicane, I think it allows you to brake straight. Get all your braking done in a straight line and not try to slow the car down while you're turning. If you stay low entering that chicane, you have to turn to stay all the way to the left to set yourself up for the exit.
See, A.J. Allmendinger's got into second place. If Noah can stay close enough to him, it's a great opportunity to learn from someone with a tremendous amount of experience. Look at the gap they gained from third to fourth.
Well, I was going to tell you, Jeff, the leaders are 6 to 7 seconds faster than mid-pack. I mean, this is a gigantic time gap, Rick. You talk about the challenge of a new track. You can see it right away.
A lot of challenges taking place here at Daytona. Again, some started on racing slicks, some started on wets.
You know what I remember?
Today tastes like it's all fired up. Like it's cooling down. Tastes like open air and closed eyes. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Wendy's famous 4 for $4 is heating up. with the new Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich. And yes, you can get it with spicy nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $4. Is it getting hot in here? Or did the Queen of Spice just deliver the hottest deal in fast food?
Awesome internet. It's more than just fast. It keeps all your devices running smoothly. With built-in security that protects your kids, no matter what they're up to. Protects your info, and gives you 24/7 peace of mind. That if it's connected, it's protected.
Here, you want a treat?
Even that pet camera thingy. Can your internet do that? Xfinity XFi can, because it's simple, easy, awesome.
Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR.
Daddy, what's that big moving house thing?
It's a motorhome, Junior. Modern invention.
Modern invention? We carried our homes with us since, like, forever.
Yeah, but humans have Geico to protect them. Something goes wrong, they're covered. What do we have?
What could go wrong? Ooh, a feather.
A feather. Duck, Junior!
That's no duck, Daddy. That's a vulture.
Geico for RVs. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wendy's famous 4 for $4 is heating up with the new Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich. And yes, you can get it with spicy nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $4. Is it getting hot in here? Or did the Queen of Spice just deliver the hottest deal in fast food?
I am history, home to legends and greats. I am a super speedway. I am a road course. I am both. I am not one for second guessing, twisting this season's fate into all 14 of my turns. I am hallowed ground, from the braking to the high banks, and I am one of the last chances to make it to the playoffs. I am the Daytona Road Course. I am NASCAR.
Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with high-definition in-car cameras. All you've got to do is visit NASCAR.com/driver. You can download that mobile app today. And we're focusing in right now on the 9 of Noah Gragson. He just missed the new chicane and had to come to a stop. So a stop-and-go penalty anytime, and it's self-imposed. You have to do it. Otherwise, NASCAR will step in.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job following his 16, trying to keep up with one of the best in business. Just cooked it in there a little hot and has to pull over down here. I asked you, Steve, is this blue area where they have to stop? You said, that, yeah, NASCAR wants them to get beyond pit entrance.
Yeah, so right here to the left, you know, Gregson, you want them to stop right away, but this is the entrance to pit road, so they want the drivers to go up past the entrance to pit road, stop. That's much safer, right? Because you don't know at what point in the race if somebody's going to try to peel in there. And here's a guy with a ton of experience here, the 10 of Chastain, high up out of turn 1. He might give the spot back to Noah. This is going to be a race of mistakes, I really think, right? It's you know, you got to be quick. I'm not taking away what lap time means, but you got to be really, really fast to make up for a stop and go.
You do, but now is a good time to make that mistake. Look how spread out everybody is, right? So if you make that mistake now, it's a big time penalty, but it's not a position penalty, so to speak. So I'm okay with those mistakes. Learn how far you can drive the car into the corner, and the drivers that we've seen make mistakes so far have done them in parts of the racetrack that you can get away with a mistake. You're not going to hit something. Really, with no more track time than these guys have, you can expect it. You can expect those mistakes.
Well, and Jeff, you know, it's a 52-lap race. We're only 6 laps in, right? Start to fill your note, because at some point, I would imagine you're going to go in there challenging, right? I mean, it starts kind of in survival, but at some point in this race, it's going to move into a race and a trophy, and you have to be the best. So you hope you have learned all of those things early.
Want to listen into a little radio? We listen into A.J. Allmendinger's communications.
With forward drive, buddy.
I got no turn at all, especially my right-handers, and no forward drive. It's bad. It's really, really far off.
And that's every crew chief's heartburn is, you know, you guessed at your setup. I'll tell you, there was actually that shot where we saw Noah missing the chicane. As you see, A.J. Allmendinger's Xfinity Road Course career, 3 wins on 3 different racetracks. So, or 3 different road course racetracks, all on road courses, but 3 different ones. And I noticed, Jeff, that the front camber, basically how much the front tires tipped in, the right front of that 16 versus the 6, dramatically different. You could visually see it. I'm not saying which I think is right or wrong. I don't know, but you could see different schools of thought between 2 organizations.
Yeah, many times, Xfinity teams, you know, will lean on Cup teams or the other way around, you know, but that's not going to work this week. There's no experience from anyone.
Austin Cindric is out front, has almost a 4-second lead over A.J. Allmendinger, who we're seeing here on the screen. Then it's Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson, and Justin Haley all up in the top 5. Just outside of it, Andy Lally has the 6th spot. Justin Allgaier is 7th. Harrison Burton is 8th. Michael Annett 9th. And Riley Herbst is rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, 6 laps into this race. And you talked about it, Chastain in 3rd, but he's 16 seconds back. It's wild how this field's spreading out so quickly on this bigger Roval.
See right there, the 13 car.
Yeah, Bobby Reyes.
He missed it. And I think we could expect that. I think that, you know, these drivers are going to use this first stage to get familiar, to understand what this racetrack's all about. Let's take a lap with Justin Haley. Front straightaway, crossing the start-finish line. Look at this wide sweeping turn 1. This corner seems to last forever. Braking while they're turning, that's always difficult for a driver. Really slow, got to leave low and straight. And a little bit of a twisting straight right here. Gonna get way to the left side of the racetrack. Set up turn 3. Essentially a tight 90-degree corner. Trying to get rear grip right here, get the rear tires to hook up to get you down this short chute.
Listen to how slow and easy back to the throttle he's forced to be. There's a little bend right here. Half throttle through there, and that sets up another right-hand turn. It's very, very slow, out wide, turn in, kind of get a low, late apex. He doesn't quite get there.
This corner right here is vital for lap time. Listen to that downshift, how many RPMs he's turning. Another long sweeper. It leads to what we're accustomed to seeing. Daytona Big Track, turn number 1. And they're going to be in this banking all the way through turn 7 into turn 8. This part of the racetrack's not very challenging for the drivers, but I can promise you're thinking about this one coming up. This rear chicane is going to be a great passing opportunity. Heavy braking. All the curb, all of this curb. Going to get some more curb here, some more curb on the left. Make this as straight as you can for the exit.
Back up onto the oval around turn 3 and 4 of the NASCAR oval. Turns 11 and 12 of this road course. Going to get up the racetrack here so you can point your car for the entrance to this new chicane on the front straightaway. Much like the Charlotte Roval chicane coming onto the front straightaway there. Very similar, real tight exit. Slow exit, power down's hard. You hear it? Back through the gears, back across the start-finish line. I can't believe how slow they are in the infield. Man, you cannot get to the gas. Trying to get the power down. It's rolling so long right here. He's sliding all the way through here.
I talked to several drivers after they had spent some time in the sims, and they didn't know if the simulators were accurate or not, but they told me that it is amazing how slow it is. And when it's slow, that means it's difficult, right? If the cars can just fly through there, it's because the car's driving well. The slower it gets, the more difficult it gets. The grip level and the tire wear, Steve, could be really high through this part of the racetrack.
Yeah, you wonder if they're wearing out or just slowing down, or perhaps if the tire's so hard they don't wear out, they just don't have enough grip. We'll have to see as the race plays on. You guys mentioned that new chicane off from turn 4 of the new chicane, off from turn 4 of the oval. Well, we've seen a bunch of guys miss it. Well, the issue is if you think you might miss it, you either abort or you do this. You see how hard that 36 of Preston Pardus hit those curbs, those turtles. No issue there, totally within the rules, but you don't want to do that time and time again. You can break parts as severe as that curbing is.
It's hard to simulate that, isn't it? I mean, that side impact into the suspension, that's just so unique. Don't see that at any other type of racetrack.
Austin Cindric out front here. Hey, race fans, you can create your best rendition of the iconic Start Your Engines for a chance to be featured during Indy 500 pre-race coverage, plus a chance to win an Advanced Auto Parts gift card. Submit your video at callingall-diehards.com. And don't forget to tweet with hashtag IndyCar and hashtag WhyIamADiehard. Cindric has now led the last 10 road course races. That's the longest streak all time. We go NASCAR nonstop.
Honey, where's our limo?
We're not getting a limo.
Well, I thought you were going to get a car that was classy and elegant.
Oh, we are. And this one's got over 700 horsepower.
Great, because I'm driving.
You're fanatical about NASCAR. Geico's fanatical about saving you money on car insurance. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Proud partner of NASCAR.
We buy so many different things online, from shoes to socks to shoe socks. Baby food, dog food, parrot food, a scarf, the scarf tube, sleeping bag, suit, huh? So why not tires? At TireRack.com, you can find, buy, then have your tires shipped to one of our trusted independent installers for safe, easy installation. Right now, you can get this special offer when you buy a set of 4 select Goodyear tires. For details, go to TireRack.com/Goodyear offer. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Give everyone something to look up to. The all-new Highlander Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places.
We could never do what they do. But what we can do is be a partner that never quits. Verizon is the most reliable network in America, built for interoperability and puts first responders first, giving their calls priority 24/7. We do what we do best, so they can too.
I am the one, back with a full throttle roar. I am the intersection of chaos, karma, love, legacy, family, and flag. I am the place where we can be as one, united from the 4 corners of our beloved sport. Back with one thunderous return. I am ready for you. If you are ready for me, I am NASCAR.
The NHL on NBC first round playoff action tonight. Game 3 between the top-seeded Vegas Golden Knights and the Chicago Blackhawks. Vegas leading that series 2-0. Coverage beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC. There's nothing like playoff hockey. You're watching Xfinity Series racing, the UNOH 188 at the Daytona Road Course, and still out front is Austin Cindric, but a great battle building here for the 5th spot. Andy Lally and Justin Allgaier. Andy Lally in that 0-2, Allgaier in the 7.
Yeah, I think all the drivers in the field, Andy's probably had the most success at this racetrack.
But Allgaier started 17th, so he has done a nice job working himself through this field.
This is the type of challenge I expect Justin Allgaier to be good at, just with his patience and his experience. You know, I know this year's been frustrating. This is a team that, you know, expected to win races, and they've yet to go to victory lane. But, you know, Junior, when I think of the talent behind the wheel of the 7, it's more, while he has a ton of driving talent, it's almost his mental approach. Very patient at times. And, you know, this type of challenge, I haven't seen him really made a mistake. He hasn't missed any corners yet.
Yeah, the one thing I like about Justin is he attacks. You know, he takes every opportunity. I remember a couple years ago winning at Chicago. He didn't have the best car, but the way he attacks on restarts, one of the most impressive things about him. Even, you know, at his age, he races like a younger driver. You think that as the driver gets older, they sort of settle, get a little more savvy. But he has this edge about him that reminds me of a lot of the young guys that race in this very series. So he's been stalking this 02 car, trying to figure out a way around.
If you're not studying that 7 car on restarts and watching what Justin Allgaier is doing, you're not paying attention if you're racing against him, because he gets a lot of positions on restarts with that aggressiveness. Talk about Andy Lally. You know, A lot of people have talked about drivers, competitors have talked about being concerned about him. This is really good equipment he's driving. We've seen Brett Moffitt do a good job in this car. He's got really good equipment, and we know his talent.
7-time class winner as far as Andy Lally. So he has had great success here. Andy Lally, 45 years old. You mentioned at his age, Justin Allgaier's 34 years old. Allgaier probably learning a lot from Lally on this road course.
Well, Lally ran the IMSA race here last month. So I'd be trying to learn something from him. See that 10 car sliding the rear tires on corner entry.
Oh, he's going to miss the corner there. He's got a problem.
Yeah, Ross Chastain slow now.
He's got a problem. He can't get that car in gear. He's got a drive line issue. Broke the transmission.
Yep.
Yep.
And you have to wonder if that's that wheel hop, if that's not what broke it, right?
Right?
Maybe it's not the transmission. It could be an axle, could be something. Rick, we saw the back of that car dance side to side. So that can happen with the rear brakes. Here he is. He's talking about a gearing issue. It can also happen because you either downshift too early, don't match your RPMs, and it makes the rear tires start to hop. You see Harrison Burton, I don't know where he is, but smoke in the cockpit is never a good sign.
No. Could that have been smoke in the tires getting into a turn, though, also?
This car's not going to get around the racetrack. We're going to have a caution come out.
Pit. Anybody by the start-finish line. Pit before the yellow comes out.
11 straight top 10 finishes for Ross Chastain, and around goes his teammate. Justin Haley is in the grass, and a caution does come out.
And someone behind him also is having trouble.
Try and get out there if you can.
Someone with him was in the tires. White car.
Yeah, listen to trying to get rolling in that grass. There's been rain.
Guys, any chance that we just saw several cars have an issue here?
Allmendinger's on pit road, going to take advantage of that, Steve.
It's a huge break as long as he got on pit road before the yellow came out. I love this call. Try to gain some track position. Good strategy call by the 16. And you mentioned that the 10 coasting. So, Jeffy, you're saying, you know, I wonder, I mean, I don't know. We had Harrison Burton with smoke. We had one car break a transmission. Haley backwards. I don't know if it's oil, weather, just bad timing. So we saw the smoke inside the car for the 20. Let's see how we get there. This is turn 6.
Wheel hopped into turn 6 underneath the 11. They have contact.
Here's the 11 of Justin Haley. Just
oh my gosh!
Oh boy!
That's what I was talking about with the.
You said it.
The edges of that that part of the racetrack, that chicane back there. That's this ground is so soft, and if a few guys drop a wheel here or there, it's going to be a big, deep rut. It could rip the whole suspension off the car. Look at that.
Oh, my
Huge
goodness.
damage.
Yeah, we thought the 11 had the risk of getting stuck in the mud. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, we can now see the 11 who's trying to get back to pit road.
That
This
looks
car
like,
right here. We have a shot from the front. It's destroyed.
That looks like Clemens in there behind him, getting into the tire barrier.
This is day over for the 11 of Justin Haley.
Well, think about that lap for Colleague Racing. The 10, you know, 2 cars.
It won't even start. Won't move. Won't do anything.
Two cars essentially out of the race.
This is violent.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so we talk about information. If I see this as a crew chief, drivers, I'm telling you this now, right? You may not, Dale Jr., you knew it because of your experience with this road course, but if I have a driver that doesn't experience this, I'm like, guys, missing the bus stop in this location is not a stop and go. It's a day ender.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you don't mean to miss it, but let you know the potential implications of the going off track there.
For sure. I mean, you could tell how deep a rut that is, and it's so sandy, the soft ground just gets eaten right out of those little holes real quickly. They fill them back in, but a few cars go through there, recreates those ruts.
Steve, you mentioned A.J. Allmendinger getting on pit road before the caution came out. He was indeed clear. He got on before the caution came out, so he's good there. Watch the end of this pit stop. Fuel can stays plugged in.
So in my mind, that's going to be a penalty.
Yeah,
that's
out of the box.
what NASCAR says, but that's servicing out of the box. This is the conversation. Remember, you used to have lug nuts get tightened out of the pit box. You used to try to stay plugged in over that front line. So NASCAR finally had to get very clear. You can provide no service to your car. In my mind, that gas can is absolutely still plugged in. So Parker, we're going to have to see if that's a penalty on the 16.
Right, Steve, and you know, it's a really big deal for the 16, as we saw a lot go on there with the colleague cars across all three of them. Last week, they lost that race at Road America by not pitting before a caution came out when Allmendinger was leading that race. So as they saw the issues there for the 10, they got him onto pit road. You saw then the 11 had his issue, the caution came out, and now they're gonna have that penalty, unfortunately, on the 16, even though they executed appropriately and got on pit road.
Mistakes, right?
So you go back, I was talking about communicating about how much issue it could be in the bus stop. I'm also, if I'm Brian Wilson, crew chief for Austin Cindric at 22, I'm going to let him know that our closest competitor, AJ Allmendinger, has now had a penalty. So we have a great car right here, man. Let's knock her back to 90%, keep our car in one piece. We know we're going to have to race people, but let's see how we do it. As we see some cars choose to pit, the 9 comes to pit road, the 22 stays out, I assume, trying to get that most important playoff point. Parker.
Right, and Noah Gregson's been struggling with rolling through the corners as he gets off the brakes, just doesn't quite have the grip inside that 9 car. They're going to do 4 slick tires there and fill full fuel on the 9 for Noah Gregson. Dylan?
Parker, Andy Lally is in, has been running inside the top 5 so far, just complaining he needs anything for forward bite. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at it on this stop. Air pressure, track bar, wedge adjustment, all 3 of them trying to give Andy that forward bite he wants.
Finally a chance for the 98 of Chase Briscoe to come to pit road and change tires and possibly get back in this thing. Guys, they were going to try to pit under green because they had a gap between themselves and leader Austin Cindric and to get themselves back in the race. But this yellow has been good for them. They'll stay out at the stage break.
So a few have chosen to stay out, others on pit road. It'll be a sprint to the finish. Make sure to check out the greatest selection of t-shirts and hats, die casts, much more for all your favorite drivers. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/shop. All right, Steve, big story. The 16 team, explain what happened.
Yeah, so we questioned if he got on pit road before the yellow. He did. Everything was successful there. He stopped in his pit box, but then when the service was over right here, the gas man is still plugged in. The car leaves the pit box. So in my mind, I was thinking removing equipment because maybe the gas can leaves. That is not the penalty. The penalty is servicing the car outside the pit box. The difference is that's 1 lap, Rick. AJ Allmendinger and the 16 team will be penalized 1 lap for pitting outside of the pit box. We've already documented, that's about 4 miles. So it's a long ways. Now, he may get very lucky here. With 1 lap to go, can he get himself into free pass position and get really fortunate at the end? I'm not sure, but let's listen to what the 16 team said.
How do I pit outside the box? I think it's just because the gas can was still engaged when we rolled out of the box. Isn't that just removing equipment? That is what they called the first time, and then as we got to the pit box there, they changed it to a 1 lap pitting outside the box penalty.
So basically, they're questioning the same thing I did. Removing equipment is you drag an air gun, wedge wrench. We see this all the time. What NASCAR is saying is, that gas can's plugged in and perhaps still flowing fuel. That's servicing the car. That's a difference. I actually think NASCAR get this one right. I would be furious as well, so I'm right with them, but that is servicing the car outside the box 1 lap.
I guess the can never left the box.
Right.
Yeah, it's still servicing it.
1 lap shootout here for stage 1. Austin Cindric, who stayed out on the racetrack, will be fighting against Michael Annett now as they dive into 1. Again, 1 lap until the end of stage 1. Fighting all the way through 1. Brandon Brown in the 68 was charging up there.
Hemrick went off. It looked like driver's right, back in turn 2.
Oh, he got contact.
Oh, that was really lucky for those guys. Not sure they knew there. Oh, Daniel car Hemrick hard in the fence here.
Yeah, I saw him go off right side, turn 2. I didn't know if he got all the way to the barrier.
Stuck.
He has.
Daniel Hemrick he has not had a good year at all. Just, if something could go wrong, it seems to.
Doesn't run the full season. More than a handful of races. About 10 races for Daniel Hemrick. Again, not able to roll. This is going to be the end of stage 1, so that's why we're not seeing a caution right now. They won't get back around to Daniel at speed.
Yes, you see right here, everybody kind of stacks up. There's the 8, the orange 8, squeezed in the middle, and somebody, just got him in the bumper. This is what we talked about, Rick, right? There wasn't that bad of an off, but there was just no room. If it's all grass, no problem. The Armco's there, you obviously see a big problem.
And there's grass, you're not going to stop in it. It's so wet.
Jade Buford. Yep, that's right. The 07 of Jade Buford right now is fighting for second.
Side by side through here is tight. See if they can make it work.
Jade slides through the bus stop there. The 32-year-old from Houston, Texas, making just his third Xfinity start this season, is going to hold on for third, it looks like, as they're coming up to the final chicane here of stage 1. And Austin Cindric is staying perfect. He won at Road America, the last road course. He's going to win stage 1 from Daytona. Earl Bamber in that 21 gets a top 5 finish in stage 1. Allgaier, Briscoe, Brown, and Annette, well as Lally rounding out the top 5. Austin Cindric continuing to make it look easy at road courses.
Everybody know my name, yeah.
So the unknown happening here at Daytona, the road course. How about a doubleheader next week? That's what the Xfinity Series faces as well as the Cup Series. So again, Saturday, 12:30 is when it kicks off on NBCSN. Make sure to join them there on the concrete high banks. And what a crazy weekend it will be next weekend. You see, on Saturday, Xfinity Series race number 1, Cup Series race number 1. Then Sunday, Xfinity Series race 2 and Cup Series race 2. And don't forget the Indianapolis 500 also next weekend. So there's so much on the NBC sports networks that you will definitely be able to find some great racing that you can enjoy.
So Rick, this is going to be very interesting. Cindric, who's by far been the dominant car, stayed out and got that win, which is great. It's a very important playoff point. But now he's going to have to come to pit road and look at the amount of cars that are going to stay on the racetrack. So even though I know he has a great car, we just saw how chaotic the restarts can be. He's going to have to be very careful, Parker.
Right, it may only be his third Xfinity start, as you mentioned, Steve, for Jade Buford, but he has over a decade of road racing experience. One thing he hasn't dealt with, a broken tack. That's what he's dealing with here, so he's going to have to be very careful on pit road, Dylan.
Michael Annette is in, racing inside the top 10, and he's reporting as well, struggling with drive off. They have a good car turning in the center of the corner, though. They're pretty happy with this one car. Just a rear air pressure adjustment on the one, Dave.
Austin Cindric was thinking what Steve Letarte was thinking. Man, I'm going to have a long way to go, but crew chief Brian Wilson assured him, you've got the car to get there. We proved that in stage 1. He's not happy with the car, though. They made some air pressure adjustments to try to help him out.
Not a lot of cars making their way onto pit road.
No, I have Cindric's going to probably restart back in the 20s somewhere. And, you know, we heard DJ talk about this earlier, right? The concern is, Brad Doherty mentioned it as well, as good as Cindric is, you still have to understand what everybody else is fighting. End his day. So it's very difficult to try to work through traffic and, you know, not put yourself in harm's way. We saw how easy Daniel Hemrick got pushed off course and got into the barrier. I'm not sure he did anything wrong, but the result is still the same.
Well, we mentioned earlier that the Cup racers are going to be watching this race very closely, and somebody who's staying in communication with them is Rutledge Wood. Hey, Rut, what have you been hearing from the guys that are racing on Sunday?
Well, Rick, been talking to a bunch of guys, hearing a lot of interesting stuff, but the coolest thing is we got Cole Custer that's actually joining us right now via Zoom. So, Cole, what I want to find out from you who's watching, what are you noticing? What jumps out for you? What are you trying to learn from watching this race today, buddy?
Oh, well, right now I just see absolute chaos. So it's seems like anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong so far. So it's, I mean, what's going to come down, it looks like, is mistakes. I mean, you got to try and limit your mistakes. And, you know, a lot of times that's what road course racing is, you know, whoever makes the least amount of mistakes is going to find themselves in a good position. But it's just amplified now with having a brand new racetrack, you know, rain in the mix and all kinds of things that are different that people haven't seen before. It's going to be a lot about trying to manage your mistakes throughout the race.
And hey, since you got that win at Kentucky, it seems like you're not worried like a lot of other drivers would be, because you know you're kind of safe for the playoffs. Am I right?
I mean, these guys are making me nervous today. It looks treacherous out there, so I wouldn't say I'm not nervous going in tomorrow, but overall it does take some stress off that we can go out there and just race hard, and you know, we know we're going to be in the playoffs and in the fight.
Well, good luck tomorrow, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Rick, so cool that these guys are watching and joining us today. How awesome is that?
It is awesome, and we appreciate, and we know that they're trying to pay close attention to what is happening during this race. Cole Custer, obviously, with a win in the playoffs, so he has that as far as a ace in the hole as he's coming up to this, which is going to be a tricky race for everybody, not only today but tomorrow as well.
So we see the field go through the backstretch bus stop right here. We see the front row, row 2, 3, 4. The car I'm looking for is that white and lime green 22 that just passed under the screen. Austin Cindric, he's led the first 16 laps of this race. I'm going to be very interested to see how this restart works for him.
I wanted to see that blue, white, and black 21 car right there of Bamber. We talked so much about him, the experience that he has. Good strategy so far, good driving, all those things collectively has got him up to the front of the pack. Now let's see what he can do.
We got Briscoe back into the mix after getting off those rain tires and having to come from the back of the field. Back up here in the top 10.
And Riley Herbst on the outside of the front row. Riley is an underrated road racer. He hasn't gotten the finishes, but if you watch where he runs toward the front of these road races. Let's see what he can do now that he has some track position.
Getting ready for the restart of stage 2. So getting ready for that to get underway. Again, Riley Herbst in the 18 on the outside. Noah Gragson in the 9 on the inside. Gragson the preferred line as they go into turn 1. Can he make it this time?
The red 7 car of Allgaier with an issue. Did not get through turn 1 very well.
Earl Bamber turns the 18. Riley Herbst around. The 21 of Bamber got into the rear quarter panel.
Can he get out of that wet grass? Looks like he's going to be able to get onto the asphalt and get going again.
And that's something when you come into another series. When you come
around goes the 9. Wow. He got off track. Noah Gragson sliding into the grass. He gets into the tire barriers.
Yeah, I'll let you know how slick that grass is.
Wow, he was coming through the kink and missed it.
Then when we talk about
more here coming,
you know, how circuits, as the caution's out now, race different. You know, that little kink is not even really a corner for the sports cars, and a heavy stock car, it's a corner.
2 cars stalled on the track is what brought the caution out. Gragson being one of them.
The red 15. Let's see what happened to Gragson first.
Gragson being one of them.
The red 15. Let's see what happened to Gragson first. Coming through the kink in the infield. Looks like he got on the inside curb a little bit and got wide on the exit, and just once you get the tires into that grass, you lose all the control. And he's way beyond the braking zone to be able to even get the car slowed down. That kink is deceiving. You want to carry as much speed as you can through there, and it's dried up. It's not as damp as it was the first time they went through there earlier in the race. It's made some damage to the left rear quarter panel.
A lot of action there. We had Riley Herbst getting turned around. We had Noah Gragson into the barrier. The 15 of Jeffrey Earnhardt was slow coming to the start. He had to pull out of line.
I was going to say, that was one of the most eventful quarter laps I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I saw that in the background on the restart. The 15 go high and wave everybody by, and I wasn't sure whether he was just going to the back or what, but he's got going now.
Some action earlier. See right here, this was the contact. The 18 and the 21. Bamber and Herbst. That's something, you know, when you, by the way, guys, the 16 car is going to get the free pass right here. So let's go put A.J. Allmendinger back in the lead lap.
Yeah, it's a good break for the 16 trying to recover from that pit stop.
What I was going to say about Bamber is that when you come into a series, you know, I always think you really need to be really respectful of the guys that are racing for points and that are there every week. I know this is your shot, right? This is your chance, but you know, these other guys, they do it every single week. They're racing for points. See Allgaier hitting pit road. I think you need to be really respectful of them.
And so the caution comes out very quick after the start of stage 2. Dylan.
And Rick, Justin Allgaier is coming into his pit stall. There was some discussion about whether there was something broke or if Justin had just locked up the brakes and flat spotted the tires, specifically the left front. So they opted to, despite having to give up all this track position, come in, play it safe. Justin didn't want it to blow out on the banking. And as they pull it off, the left front looks okay, but we'll get a closer look at it. But wanted to play it safe rather than sorry here on the 7 car.
So Justin Allgaier will make his way back out on track, and we'll be back for the restart. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. Make sure to tune in on Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Brad Doherty is going to be with the NBC Sports on Sirius XM crew. That's NASCAR Radio Channel 90. Brad bringing that owner, broadcaster perspective to what's taking place here this weekend at the road course, and then looking forward, obviously, to Dover next weekend, the double header that these drivers face. Want to listen in to the O2 radio of Andy Lally.
Man, some of these guys are ruthless. They'll stick it in a hole that's not there. We know who the casting characters are, so we just got to watch, make sure they don't take us out trying to do something stupid, put them self-destruct. Confirm.
That's Xfinity race in 2020. This Alex ran all year.
Old tracks, it doesn't matter.
He's been paying attention. Getting ready for the restart. Again, Chase Briscoe in the 98 will be on the inside, and Harrison Burton in the 20 will be on the outside for this restart. Keep your eye on the 21 as well. Earl Bamber right now fighting for second. And around goes the 44. Spinning right there in the International Horseshoe. Straightens it back out and keeps going. Tommy Joe Martin's behind the wheel there, and we stay green.
That's a good job by him to get rolling that quickly.
Yeah, it's a good job by everybody to stay out of him. Oh, big lock up, but just a little here down into the corner. And everybody's trying to miss him.
He's going to go through the grass. He's going to go through a sign probably. Misses the sign. Can he get through the grass and all the wet condition there? He will. He gets back out on track. Nobody gets in him.
All right, you're good. You're good.
As that happened, the 98 of Briscoe continues to lead. Big recovery for the 98. Guys, remember, he started this race on rain tires. Had to pit under green in that first stage. So this is a nice recovery to get back up front and get some track position.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to see Bamber and what kind of speed he has, because that 98 we felt like would be in the mix to win this race. So we'll see if Bamber has as much speed or more. Car going off. Oh, that 92's dropped the wheel.
Josh Williams slamming into the sign there.
Destroyed
look at the damage.
That car.
And he dropped the wheel. And the worst part of this racetrack, big ruts on the inside of that chicane. Took the splitter right off. Now he's lost. Trying to figure out how to get home.
Can't go through the grass. He's going to find the apron here in a little bit as we continue to watch the new chicane here, and someone misses it, so they have to come to a stop. Stop and go penalty if you miss the chicane.
You know, Rick, I'd never claimed to be a race car driver, but I also tried this track all week long on iRacing, and this is making me feel a little better because this is basically what all my laps looked like right here, is I could not stay off the surface.
This was one lap. Tommy Joe Martin's here.
You know, he just missed the chicane. This is back a little bit ago, and just gets caught by Michael Annette in the right rear quarter panel, spun around. Nice job of everybody missing it.
Now the caution's out. We got debris in turn 11. Riding along there with Brandon Godovic.
Whoa.
That's what he had, to avoid.
Jesse Little carrying too much speed in there, and Algar and Noah's thinking, hey, I know how that feels.
That was smart by Jesse to get off of the brakes. Once his car got it back on the asphalt, he gets off the brakes, and that saved him.
There's Josh Williams. Oh. That looked like a split that he was trying to pick up there.
So the Go Bowling people call.
Oh, my goodness, look at that.
Yeah, that was huge through that rut. Like, can we get our signage replaced, or is it? Is it like a one-shot deal?
This is probably the best advertiser they could ask for.
I'll tell you. Was that a split?
Well, he only hit 2 out of the 3 pins that were there, so there was still a pin stand.
He almost hit the corner pin.
Yeah.
You see
Look at the damage.
Yeah, the splitter. That's why when you said it was a yellow for debris, it wasn't a hard sell. I agreed. There had to be debris somewhere out.
I was wondering which car it was. Listen, that shows you how hard this racetrack is. And Steve, you said it, that rear chicane. I mean, you just have to, crew chiefs, spotters, they need to be telling drivers, look, if you got to give up a little bit, get in that corner, just do it, because the cost is too big. Now listen, that's a passing zone. If you're going to keep someone from passing you, got to drive into that corner deep. So it's easier said than done, but I know there's a lot of Cup drivers that are watching this race today, and they are not going to sleep well tonight.
That spot right there. Dale Jr., you talked about it, how the sand and soft and it ruts, and if you drop that right front tire off the curb, I can't tell from this camera angle, but it's more than a few inches deep. I mean, it's tearing these race cars apart.
Dave.
Guy just listening into some of the leaders, including the 98 of Chase Briscoe. What a comeback for them. Remember, they were looking for a caution to solve a problem that they had early, which was starting on the wrong tire, started on Reigns by mistake when they came to pit road, but now he is back in the lead where he's been a lot of this season. And behind him, the road racer from New Zealand, Earl Bamber, in his first ever stock car start for Richard Childress Racing, is having the time of his life. Very happy with the race car. And interestingly, Austin Cindric, who won stage 1, asked about Earl Bamber during his last caution period. They were told, well, he's learning. He might be around at the end, Parker.
Well, speaking of learning, Dave, that 20 car of Harrison Burton, what a cool opportunity for him to follow Earl Bamber there, who has so much experience here at this racetrack. He's really been struggling with wheel hop. I know we were on board with him a little earlier in the race. We heard that inside that car. He has been struggling just to get on the brakes and stop those rear tires from hopping, and has been adjusting the brake bias back and forth, hasn't found where he wants it to be. Meanwhile, Noah Gragson obviously coming down pit road. We saw him spin out of the lead there down into turn 5. They're just continuing to fix the damage on the left rear, add some fuel to this car, and try to get that fender pulled away for the left rear tires. It was rubbing a little bit.
They definitely don't want to be cutting a tire as they'll go to work on the 9, try to get him back out there and in contention. Now it's Chase Briscoe that everyone's chasing here at Daytona.
Racetrack, he has so many laps here, and he said, do not sleep on the bus stop. It is very difficult. It can be dangerous for cars. Dale Jr., you mentioned it in the open. Well, here we see a couple cars having major issues ending their day.
Yeah, I was racing here in 2000 in the Corvette, dropped a wheel, broke a drive shaft in the car, so I can respect how easy it is to tear your car up in this part of the track. And you can see where guys are running off on this one specific curb, the second curb back to the right on the entrance, and a lot of guys are cutting through there, and the first few guys that go through there might survive it, but as they continue to rut that out and make that deeper and deeper, the next few guys, as we've seen, have ripped their cars apart going through that. Could see some more of that before the end of this race as guys are asked to push harder and harder toward the end of the event.
Hey guys, look on the outside that green and white car. Austin Cindric, he's worked himself back up in the mix after having that pit stop.
Yeah, that's top 10 for Cindric.
You'll tell Rutledge when he talks to these drivers during the breaks to make sure he points out the bus stop.
Briscoe and Bamber making up row 1.
See, Bamber without a good restart, that's just probably not having experience of knowing how these cars accelerate.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of damage on the left front of that 21 car too.
Look at Cindric.
Guys locking him up. Cindric sliding through 1.
Yeah, he's going to have to go through turn 2 and back up a little bit. Can't go through there 3 wide. He's going to lose a few spots. So 98 locks up the right front just a little bit, getting into the corner.
At all this action back here.
How about in second place right there, Harrison Burton. 3 wide through the King. Harrison is doing an amazing job after an earlier spin.
Trying to stay with Briscoe now.
Got the report that Harrison was having a lot of wheel hop issues. If that's the case, going to have to be really smart about not trying to chase Briscoe into the corners. That's when you'll get that wheel hop and get yourself in trouble.
We heard that Harrison Burton's dad gave him some pointers coming into this road course race.
Clearly not. He's running second. He would have been running 30th.
Parker.
Well, Jeff, I don't think you should put yourself down so much. I talked to Harrison this morning, asked him if you'd give him any advice. He said yes. He told me to call the people that know how to get around this place. So you gave him great advice.
That's good advice.
It's a lot of fun watching that 22 car work through traffic. He just, oh no,
another one.
That one got lucky there.
Maybe. That's Mike Wallace in that 0. And you see right behind him the 74 of Bailey Curry.
If you come back out of that hole with a splitter, I'm calling it lucky. As we see the 22 of Cindric pass Jones on the high side. That fair, Junior, still have your splitter. We're going to call that a safe trip through the hole.
For sure.
We talked to NASCAR this morning about missing that bus stop, and they said really the penalty of missing that bus stop is the grass. If you go through the grass, that's penalty enough. Let's listen into Andy Lally's radio here.
You gotta tell me that 3 wide way earlier. Andy, he was to your left the whole way up through there. Still on your left.
Guys, it's interesting when we're at Daytona. Normally on the oval, we talk so much about the importance of spotters. It's been interesting listening to them over the course of the early stages of this race as these drivers are learning what to do and what not to do. The spotters have been so important, just telling visually what they are seeing, what's working, what's not working. It's really allowed some of these guys to be a little more aggressive with the lines or how they're attacking the corners. So spotters always playing an important role here at Daytona as we see Austin Cindric on the move again.
Yeah, he just took third away.
Yeah, that was interesting from Andy Lally because he didn't know he was 3 wide, right? You're being told somebody's on the left or the right, but you need to know that there's 2 people on the left or the right. You can't know that. So that's just, he's screaming right now at this point in the race saying, look, we can't make that mistake again.
This 22 car not only has remarkable pace, but he knows how to make his way through traffic as we see the 0 of Wallace go into the dirt to the right side of this curve. Gets fortunate enough that he kind of skips through it.
Yeah, he took a lot of dirt out of there for the next guy that goes through it.
Yeah. I mean, just like the 22 is just tidy. I mean, it just doesn't slip a lot of tires.
See, we talked a lot about Austin Cindric and his road course abilities, and you know that makes him very desirable for a Cup car owner, right? He's been performing on the 1.5 miles, been performing on the short tracks, and we know, everybody knows how good he is on these road courses. So if you can be good on 1.5 miles and super speedways and all those things, and young and good, that means you can continue to improve and great on road courses. Why isn't a Cup owner going to take a chance on this guy? You can give him a shot to win some races. Get yourself into playoffs. I just see him with a good opportunity. He's making himself a good opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, he's with Team Penske. He's 21 years old. And anytime you're 21 years old and involved in sports, your parents are going to want to be there to watch and see how things are going. Well, in Austin Cindric's case, his dad is busy right now because he's the president of Team Penske, and obviously they've got everybody at Indianapolis right now. So when you say, hey, is he appealing to Cup owners? Well, I'm sure he is, but most people think, well, he's a Team Penske driver because of where his dad works.
Well, he's a Team Penske driver until someone else calls.
Yeah, that's
right. So if you look at the seats, where do you go to?
Oh, Josh Berlicki spins around. He was having a great run up in the top 10.
Some grass on the grill, but no huge damage on the nose. I think he can continue.
Yeah, it looked like he spun exiting turn 2. Let's take a look. So trying to run side by side all through the bend of turn 4, and just like the 9 car of Noah Gragson, he dropped a wheel right there. I think he was really lucky though that he didn't go on into the tire barrier.
Guess who's broken into the top 10? The 16 of A.J. Allmendinger.
That was a pass for second place right there. Cindric around Burton. Looks like they were going side by side into the braking zone, and Burton had to lift and let that position fall to Cindric. So now, look at that.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so they almost side by side right there in that part of the track, and Burton had to give up a whole lot there to let the 22 by.
That right there, that heavy braking that Austin Cindric was able to do. That's why. I mean, the lap before that, Austin Cindric was about 3/4 of a second faster than Chase Briscoe. A lot of it has to do with being able to drive in the corner like that.
So now it's Chase Briscoe, and right behind him, Austin Cindric. We go NASCAR nonstop.
You can't afford to fail. On the road, on the job, off the grid. So get to Advance. Get the advice you need. Get the part you need. From the experts. Fast. Without fail. Advance how you get help, how you get answers, how you get parts. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts.
Wendy's famous 4 for $4 is heating up with the new Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich. And yes, you can get it with spicy nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $4. Is it getting hot in here? Or did the Queen of Spice just deliver the hottest deal in fast food?
Awesome internet. It's more than just fast. It keeps all your devices running smoothly. With built-in security that protects your kids, no matter what they're up to. Protects your info and gives you 24/7 peace of mind. That if it's connected, it's protected. Even that pet camera thingy. Can your internet do that? Xfinity XFi can, because it's simple, easy, awesome.
Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Liz and Mike, an Army family who's always at the ready. So when they got a little surprise, they didn't panic. They got a bigger car for their soon-to-be bigger family. After shopping around for insurance, they called USAA, who helped find the right coverage for them and even some much-needed savings.
That was the easy part.
USAA insurance has made the way Liz and Mike need it easy. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Wendy's famous 4 for $4 is heating up with the new Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich. And yes, you can get it with spicy nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $4. Is it getting hot in here? Or did the Queen of Spice just deliver the hottest deal in fast food?
Two winningest drivers in the Xfinity Series in 2020 are now battling it out at the front to see who can win Stage 2. Austin Cindric won Stage 1. He's running second now. Chase Briscoe leading, but can he hold him off?
Yeah, it looks like Chase Briscoe getting into turn 3 there, almost locking that right front tire up, almost missing the corner, pushing hard in the braking zones. And that's where the 22 has been really good. Jeff, you pointed it out into the chicane on the back straightaway, really eating up a lot of time in these braking zones.
And look how the 22 car doesn't move around. You mentioned it, Steve. Watch the car left to right. It doesn't shake. It doesn't, you know, watch the 98. He's like getting way more, having to push his car much harder than Cindric is to make lap time. Watch and see if he can make this ground up into the chicane again.
Closes about 2 car lengths.
Yeah, just able to get in there so much deeper and much more comfortable.
And some of that may not be the brakes on the car, but the ability for the car to turn, right, and point.
Well, so let's talk about this for a minute, right? When we talk about braking, it's just not the physical brakes as always. We see the 42 off trying to get out of the mud right here.
52.
Oh, excuse me, the 52.
Vanderwall.
Couldn't see it. The bright white number of the black car, Rick. I mean, it wasn't crystal clear to me. You know?
It was difficult.
I mean, you know, it was kind of hidden.
And Cody's going to make it out.
So what I was going to say is, you know, it's not about what physical brakes are on the car. The driver and the rest of the setup can have a lot to do with the braking power. Whether how you push the brake pedal, whether you use the clutch, what kind of shocks are in the back of that car to control it under braking. You know, there's a lot of things crew chiefs can do to develop straight line braking power that has nothing to do with the actual brakes on the car. Dave.
Back to Dave.
And because they were coming to a track they didn't know and had never been on, crew chief Brian Wilson told me about that 22. We're going fairly conservative. We're going with everything we know. So the braking power, etc., very familiar to Austin Cindric as he continues to hound Chase Briscoe.
This reminds me of Indy, where it looked like, you know, Allmendinger and the 22. Cindric, there's 98 missing that problem. Missing that corner again with the right front locking up. He's having a right front lock up issue, and all of the right-handers of the road course doesn't seem to have that issue here turning left. But this is just like anywhere we thought Cindric and Allmendinger was a much better, faster car. And now Chase Briscoe digs down deep and finds a level that we just don't usually see. In these moments, the 22 is so much faster, but now it seems like Briscoe is able to find more speed, wheel his car to be able to maintain this lead.
After that Indy race, Briscoe told us that he wasn't showing everything he had, even in the midst of that battle. You see this battle right here.
Yeah, two veterans, two road course veterans.
Yeah, Bamber's lost some spots right here. Andy Lally getting by him.
What I wait for out of this battle for the lead is will that frustrate the 22? Man, I was running him down. I thought I was so much better, but now I can only maintain, and then he begins to push harder. Then maybe he makes that mistake.
See, I see the 22 right here as just cruising. I think he sees the 98, his pressure's off, anxiety's gone, he sees the lead, he came through all that traffic. I think he has this air of confidence where he doesn't have to get him right here with 30 laps to go in the race.
He's going to outbreak you all day long.
Hold on a minute. You just said that Austin Cindric is just hanging out.
I think he's matured.
Come on, man.
He's not beating up his equipment.
Listen.
Is he going to pass up on a stage point here?
No, he's going to pass him. But the way to pass him is to just patiently put the pressure on.
Well, not only are you getting a stage point, you're taking it from him as well, right? These are the two guys that are leading the points. And by the way, these two guys are teammates. They've been teammates at this racetrack in other cars. Austin Cindric has taught Chase Briscoe how to race on road courses. Chase told us that. Caught some lap traffic right here. Oh, Mike Wallace.
Yeah, it's 2 to go, and
this is a tough spot right here, Steve, to catch a lap car.
I was wondering who it was going to benefit. Definitely benefited the 98.
Didn't hurt Austin a lot, though.
Yeah, but it's coming up on this long acceleration around NASCAR 1 and 2 and down this back straightaway. But the 22 is able to close the gap. He mentioned it before the race. These cars draft pretty well. Look at him run him down.
Look to the inside like he was thinking about trying to outbrake him.
That was like the fake pass in basketball. I'm just going to maybe get you to overdrive the corner a little bit, or at least I want you to see me in your mirror.
Yeah, something else, you know, we've seen that getting the right side tires on the wrong side of that curb can kill the car. When you're that close, the way Cindric was, you can't see it anymore. Now you've lost your visibility to see that curb.
Coming up on the last lap of stage 2, and a great battle happening right here between these two. Young drivers looking to advance from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series. Chase Briscoe has said at the beginning of the year he thought the way he can get up to the Cup Series he'd have to win 8 times. Well, 5 wins already for Chase Briscoe. And then the tear that Austin Cindric has been on, the last 5 races, his worst finish is 2nd. That was only 1 time. He won the other 4.
This has been the corner that's caused that 98 some problems, but he gets it slowed down that time. Doesn't lock that right front up, doesn't miss the apex. Good exit. Heading into turn 4 to the left.
That's important exit too, because this is a passing zone. Cindric's not going to be close enough to try to make that pass.
Man, it looks like they're flying into this corner, turn 5.
Cindric with a higher entry, trying to get a better run on the exit.
Here's his opportunity, I think, to go left.
Will he try it at the bus stop, though?
Briscoe's going to block it. 22 is there. Contact, hard contact. Briscoe way offline.
Cindric pushes him out, and Cindric takes the lead away from Briscoe.
Cindric had quite a bit of damage to that right side.
That's how much you want that playoff point, guys.
Yeah, huge defensive move by the 98 of Briscoe, which I think then opens you up for contact. The Cindric, I don't think you can be mad after you block the inside line. We'll see if the 98 can attack in the bus stop.
Yeah, Cindric has to drive in the corner deep right here. He cannot let the 98 get to him because Briscoe may not be happy.
He's there. He's pushing on him. He's leaning on him. Contact again.
Offset right by half.
Hands on the inside of him. Got the good momentum.
Inside.
Whoa. Now Sedane's going to side draft him. Now we're like a mile and a half going to side draft him, trying to pull him back.
Remember, there's another chicane coming up, another braking opportunity. Side by side for the lead and potentially the win of stage 2.
Cindric lifted to see if he could get a better run on corner exit right here. Going to have to try to turn underneath him on the curve too hard. Not going to be able to make it happen.
Nose to tail as they come to the stripe. And it's going to be Briscoe who wins stage 2.
You know what that was, Rick? That was a dress rehearsal for 22 laps from now. These guys have showed a little bit of their hand. What a closing lap.
What a fight between Cindric and Briscoe comes out on top.
That was awesome.
And remember, that was just the end of stage 2.
Not to mention, look at the top. Harrison Burton in 3rd. E.J. Allmendinger all the way back to 4th. So, never know what we might see.
Well, if this is any indication, I mentioned at the beginning, buckle up. Who knows what these guys are going to do to get the win of the race. This was just for a stage win. Briscoe comes out on top in stage 2. Austin Cindric won stage 1. The race gets determined next. Stay with us. How important was that exchange that we just saw between the two drivers up front here? Listen into the 22 radio.
I'll walk down to Vito, say if he blocks me in the brakes like that again, I'm putting him in the tires. That's the end of it. I told him at lunch, and I told him time and time again after Indy, you do not block under brakes. He caused that whole situation. Ah, man.
I'm not sure the driver of the 22 is any happier. This was just a few seconds ago under yellow. Cindric has a water bottle. He's going to try to get rid of it and give it to Chase Briscoe through the right side window. This is, look at this.
He was just thinking that Chase was thirsty. Right, partner?
Right, guys. Harrison Burton fit out 3rd place. He's been struggling with the brakes. A.J. Allmendinger was flying since the restart there. He passed 13 cars, was catching the leaders, but he has not been happy with that 16 car, continually fighting drive-offs 4 tires, Dave.
Stage winner Chase Briscoe in the 98 said he needs more forward drive, and if I could get a little bit of help in turn 3, you guys have seen it, that's where he is slow. The 22 of Austin Cindric, I just need track position. Let's see if he can get any of it here. Team Penske crew finishes up. No, the 98 will win the race off of pit road.
So no positions change as Briscoe and Cindric stay 1 and 2 coming off of pit road. Harrison Burton also in that 3rd spot, 18 positions by Annette, who didn't take tires on that stop. All right, so we know that Cup drivers are watching this race, and our conduit to be able to talk with them is Rutledge Wood. So hey, Rut, who have you found that you can talk to now?
Oh, Rick, this is so exciting. I'm hearing from tons of guys. Bubba said discipline in the chicane is what it's all about. Alex Bowman says you miss it by 6 inches on the turn, your day is over. Let's ask Matt DiBenedetto, who's joining us now. Matty D, thanks, buddy, for hopping in. You know, you're on the bubble. I have to assume that tonight is one of those nights where anxiety jumps in, sleep gets a little harder. But what are you noticing that you can try to use for tomorrow's race?
The first thing that I noticed is I really liked the water bottle exchange. That was pretty nice of Austin Cindric to try and help out Chase Briscoe there. You know, he may have been thirsty, so that was pretty cool. But it's, man, we're all watching as intently as you can imagine all of the Cup drivers are. So I think what I'm learning most is try and live by my normal rules of road course racing, which is don't lock up any tires and stay on course and try to minimize mistakes. So it's going to be a tough one. This is a crazy situation, but I'm excited about it. I love road racing more than anything we do, but yeah, with the playoff situation and everything, man, it's nerve wracking. We have a good, decent little cushion, but we need some good, smooth races. We've had really good speed, so can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I know, man. We can see your racing sim behind you. Give everybody at home an idea. How much time have you spent this week trying to prep for the Daytona Road Course and all the conditions you might see there?
I think, I sweat about as much as I would in a real race, just running either, back here on the iRacing setup or running at the simulator at Ford. I took every minute that they would possibly get me, and I ran a ton of laps. So my crew chief, engineer, everybody was just basically watching. We worked on stuff, but this is, we've been joking. We're saying this is going to be the Simulator 500 tomorrow or this weekend for everybody. So that's where it's at, man. That's all of our practice we're going to get, and it's been a lot of fun. So I can't wait to make some laps and see. That stuff's going to help us a lot. I think the Cup guys will be pretty good.
We do too, Matt. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time. Rick, another great Cup driver, taking a minute to join us. We can't say thanks enough to those guys. But, man, it is exciting. The best comment I've heard so far was Joey Logano texted me, and he said, maybe we need the Benny Hill theme music playing after restarts.
I like the wall art there for Matt DiBenedetto as well. The aerial coverage today brought to you by Geico, giving us some great perspective from what's taking place here at the road course. Now, tomorrow, we just heard Matt DiBenedetto saying, okay, well, I got to keep it on track. I've got to take care of my equipment. Well, it's his turn tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be a great one. That's again on NBC. Race coverage will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern, pre-race at 2 p.m. on NBCSN. And why are they racing so hard for that one playoff point, Steve? This is it.
I mean, it's obvious. Briscoe and Cindric are dominating this category with nearly 30 points each. And, those points continue from round to round throughout the playoffs. They're kind of like that mulligan, right? A little bit of a safety net. Dave?
What did Earl Bamber tell us earlier this week? It would be the little things that would hurt their effort this weekend. First time in an Xfinity stock car, and he, for the second time today, angled his car into the pit stall. It really hampered their stop, and instead of being up front, he's going to be back in row 8 to restart.
20 to go when they cross the line, Rick. The fuel window, or the guess on the fuel window is 18 to 20 laps. We'll have to see how this plays out.
And getting ready for the final stage to get underway. Josh Bilicki and Heckert, those are the two up front. Well, they were, and now it's Cindric and Briscoe again. Well, Cindric off track. Can he get back on? A lot of ground lost there for Austin Cindric in that 22. So Bilicki and Heckert staying up here in the top 4 for now.
Cindric making a move on the outside. You've seen how well he can brake. Just drives in the corner deeper than everyone else.
Cindric takes second away. Bilicki back to third. Harrison Burton fourth.
You see the lead that Briscoe enjoys over Cindric as he tried to work through that traffic. Briscoe's drove away to a 1.8-second lead.
Steve, everybody that came to pit road, they can make it, or is it going to be right on the outside of the window?
Well, the information we had before the race started was this was just on the outside of the window. I haven't got any updates of what they've been seeing for fuel mileage. We'll have to listen into the radios and see if we hear any chatter about fuel. Or if we get some yellows, Parker, they can actually save some fuels. We have, I think that's the 36 on Pardis, falls into that hole in the bus stop, damage to the right front corner. Parker.
Yeah, wow, that was big there. Steve, so you hit the nail on the head. I just heard Harrison Burton's team come across the radio and say, we need to save under caution. Don't do it under green yet, but we are 1 lap short, and I think that's the common amongst many teams right now. They're going to be having to save a little bit of fuel as we have some cars go through the chicane there as we go through this final stage.
Justin Allgaier locked the tires up there in the 7.
So 1 lap at a road course where you can brake and shift and run your RPMs a little bit lower if you need to. I think that's the amount of fuel. Even at almost 4 miles, I think that amount of fuel can be saved in the final stage.
It's A.J. Allmendinger in the 16, getting by Harrison Burton. So now Allmendinger up into the top 3. This is what we saw at Indianapolis earlier this year. Briscoe, Cindric, Allmendinger.
Yeah, we really haven't gotten a good idea how these 3 match up together now that Allmendinger's back in the mix. Brandon Brown off the racetrack over here. Turn 3. Lucky to stay out of the tires there, get back on.
Yeah, we talked to Brandon Brown also this last week. He said a top 10, that's kind of a win for us, for our team.
And what a fascinating story for the 68 car. They operated out of 2 shops, as we see right here, another replay. Oh, just in way, way too deep. Does a nice job avoiding Allgaier. You could tell he was in too fast, but 2 shops. They build and assemble the cars up in Virginia, bring them down to Mooresville when they're all assembled. That's where they do the final setups. That's a lot of moving parts. It's impressive for a small team. Currently just inside the playoff cut line in 12th, plus 40 over Jeremy Clements.
Yeah, the tough thing for Brandon Brown right now, his dad is actually fighting cancer, so he's going through treatments, and he can't go visit him because of the situation with COVID and everything. They wouldn't allow him to do the treatments if his son came and potentially gave him the COVID virus. So that's a difficult situation, but we know Dad is watching this race right now, so we're wishing him the best. Parker.
Well, we saw that mistake by Brandon Brown. He came across radio and said it jumped out of gear, which is always tough when you're trying to slow down and use the engine braking and the brakes at the same time, and it jumps out of gear. That's why he oversped the corner.
22 cars done cut about a tenth and a half, or a second and a half off of the lead that Briscoe had. Cindric driving up on the back bumper of that car. Chase Briscoe. They're both driving away from Allmendinger, though. I don't see Allmendinger running these guys down.
Cindric just ran a 1:19.9. That's exceptionally fast. Dave.
And the reminder that went out to Austin Cindric while they told him that A.J. Allmendinger had gotten into 3rd place was that this will be the longest run of the race. Take care of your car.
It's actually what I was thinking for Allmendinger. While I don't think he's back there just cruising, I do think the best thing for him is that there are 2 cars in front of him, not 1. I know that sounds silly, but we have already seen the 98 and the 22 in some pretty heavy contact. That was just for a stage finish. So if you're Allmendinger, just stay in touch. There's no telling what these 2 can end up doing before the end of the race.
Yeah, watching the Indy race between these 3 guys, it seemed to me that Allmendinger's car kind of fell off at the end because of how much they all used their cars up. He just didn't have the longevity in the tires a lot of these other guys did. So maybe this is his opportunity to put himself in a better position for the end of the race. These 2 guys, we've seen them already once wear each other out, beating their cars up, racing each other for the lead. So maybe they'll go up there, burn their stuff up. If you're Allmendinger, maybe you sit back and wait, have something for the end of the race. You know you're probably going to get another caution.
Well, it's no surprise that these top 3, that's who we have. They've won 6 of the last 7 road course races. Just, they're so good at what they do. And I find it fascinating that you talked about it earlier, Junior, how Briscoe just digs deep, finds more speed.
He seems like maybe he is better at not showing his entire hand all the time. You know, I'm used to seeing these guys when they're young like this, just they don't know anything but 10-10ths. Run as hard as you can all the time. Maybe he's more self-aware and just does what he needs to do, understanding to take care of his brakes, his tires.
Briscoe, Cindric, Allmendinger, the top 3, and then right behind them, it is a Toyota parade. Harrison Burton, Riley Herbst, Josh Bilicki, and Brandon Jones running 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. We'll take a look at the Toyota driver update. Harrison Burton has steadily improved his road course racing, as he's running up there in the top 5, 4th currently. But it's just another thing that a young driver, Harrison, as I mentioned, a very young driver at 19 years old, trying to learn everything he can. And one of the facets of racing in the Xfinity Series is having to learn these road courses.
But Rick, you know, decades ago, most of the drivers in NASCAR just assumed they were going to go to Sonoma and Watkins Glen. Some loved it, some hated it, but they didn't really put a ton of focus on it. But now, with the addition of the Roval on the Cup side, gives them 3 road course races. Xfinity is well documented. They run 4 on a normal schedule. I know this year's different, but you can no longer ignore them, right, Jeff? I mean, you mentioned it earlier about Cindric trying to make a name for himself and maybe finding that spot in a Cup ride just because of what he provides at the road course events, a chance to go win.
And also, you know, we talk about Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series, and some people say he shouldn't be in here, but it gives a young driver an opportunity to learn from those guys much the way that they're learning today, from more experience, from Briscoe, Cindric, Allmendinger. Oh, Harrison missed that corner. You know, those guys are teaching these guys how to race. That's what experienced drivers do in this series.
Teammates here out of Joe Gibbs Racing. Riley Herbst is going to make the pass going through Daytona 3 and 4.
There it is. He's just really lucky. Another few, just like Bubba Wallace said, another couple 6 inches, he would have probably taken a splitter off of that car, done a little damage to that right front.
Right back into contention. A.J. Allmendinger running third. Listen into his radio.
Us three we're in a league of our own, and 22 is screaming at the 98 after that last run, so it's going to get big between them two. So all we can do is run that race, try to capitalize on their mistakes, you know.
That's Chris Rice, and that's great information for his driver. You know, he heard what we heard, the frustration out of the 22 of Cindric. He knows the battles between these three. He feels they have the speed. So Parker, what I heard is he is trying to give all the information to his experienced driver, A.J. Allmendinger, to make sure he wants A.J. to push, but there could be some action up in front of him.
Right, Steve, and sometimes you just got to, you know, give some optimism inside for that driver, because AJ has not been the most positive on the radio inside that 16 car in terms of how it's handling, and I think right now, as we see, he's fallen from about 2.8 seconds to 3.2 seconds back from those two leaders. He just sensed that they just don't quite have the speed in that 16 car, so I think Chris Rice using a little bit of help there mentally maybe to say, hey, we're still in this if we just stay close enough as they are right now, just 3.2 back.
Very competitive in the Allmendinger family. As a matter of fact, both of the Allmendingers are competing today. AJ here at Daytona, and Tara, his wife, is competing for Mrs. North Carolina right now as well.
You know what I liked about the conversation from Chris Rice is the tone of his voice. Just like really calm. He's just super calm. And we know AJ gets hyped up inside that car, right? We've seen if those frustrations come through. Chris Rice giving him that calmness, I think, is really good for AJ.
He made him think, though. He made him think, okay, those guys are racing aggressively up in front. You race your race.
Austin Cindric will not let Chase Briscoe have a clean mirror. Cindric will not let Chase Briscoe have a clean mirror. He is there in every corner.
He's running down, you know, but not, he can't quite get there. It's almost like Chase just runs hard enough to keep that at around a half a second to 3/4 of a second. Just keep it safe.
And just think how, oh, sorry, guys, I thought you threw it to me. Think how the season has changed for these two. After the Indy Road Course win for Chase Briscoe, he was 61 points ahead of Austin Cindric. That was 5 races ago. But then the run that Austin Cindric had, winning 3 in a row, plus outpointing Chase Briscoe by 30 at Kansas, and that continued the trend at Road America with a win. So Chase is now down 11 points in the regular season championship. It's been a battle all year long, but lately it's been all 22.
And Dave, you can jump in anytime, by the way. It's okay.
Yeah, I knew that, but, you know, I hate jumping in too much.
Briscoe still holding off Cindric. And right now, we heard earlier Riley Herbst struggling a little bit. He was able to get by Harrison Burton. Listen into his radio.
We're just a fuzz short on fuel, so long gears, little fuel saving here, long gear. We got to make up 1 lap worth of fuel, so keep long gear, keep doing what you need to do, smooth.
All right, so one thing I know about fuel mileage, that if you're running basically 123-second laps, you're using less fuel than the leaders running 121-second laps. And I said that because if Riley Herbst in the 4th position is about a lap short on fuel, I don't see any way that the 98 and the 22 can't have some concern. I don't know their numbers specifically. I also know, though, we're not going to hear anything on the radio because they don't want to show their hand to one another. But I think with 15 laps to go, this is much more complicated than the front two, Dave, just racing for first place. They're also going to have to manage some fuel.
Here's a conversation that I've heard, Steve, that the front two are on the number. You know what that means? They can make it to the end of a regularly scheduled race, and that all Toyotas are going to be a little bit short. I don't know about the Chevys, and there are any up there, but that's the story from the front of the field. I guess the Dinger's a Chevy.
That's great information to see. And, you know, the concern is being right on the number.
Both drivers smoking a top.
Yeah, right.
They're not saving fuel.
No, they're not saving fuel. And my point about right on the number is, you know, there's a lot of assumptions into some fuel calculations. Did you get it full? Or are you pushing it harder? As you just pointed out, Jeff, they're not running any easier.
Oh, look at this. Earl Bamber, a mistake here through the grass.
We got lucky, not a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, he committed to the right, missed the hole.
Yeah.
You know, it just shows you, though, Earl Bamber is a really, really good race car driver, but you just don't jump in these things and just go win these races. I mean, years ago, we had road course ringers, right, Junior? And you know, people would come in and run up front all the time and not run the other races, but that's become more difficult. As road course racing has become more important, drivers have gotten better at it, and these cars are just different than almost any other car in the world. Dylan.
And Jeff, that's exactly what Andy Lally has alluded to as well, as you see him there running in the 7th spot. He no doubt has a lot of experience here racing on this configuration, 5-time winner of the Rolex 24, but he's admitted it is hard to just jump in this series and compete with the weekly regulars, the guys who are in the best equipment, and then you take the talent of the talent level of guys like Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, they're going to figure it out eventually. So he admitted that that was going to be a challenge and that we shouldn't expect him to just come into these road course races and it be easy for him and the wins being a guarantee. So they just wanted to have clean races. That generally means good finishes on these road courses. He's had a clean race so far, runs just inside the top 10. His only report right now, just he's been spinning the tires a lot on corner exit. He's been battling that all day long.
Parker, what's happening with the 16 team?
Well, Steve was just talking about fuel mileage and maybe some fuel mileage concerns. We'll take a listen what Chris Rice had to say about their situation and those two ahead of them.
Sam, man, save us some fuel if you can. Save us a little bit of fuel if you can. We need about a half a lap. We're good to the finish, but save us a little bit of fuel. They are not good to the end, I don't think.
And that is interesting because the consensus in the garage the last 2 weeks, at Road America and this week, is that those two Fords have some of the best fuel mileage in this series, that they get maybe even half a lap better than some of the Chevys and Toyotas out there. So for them to feel they're way off or way better than them, they could be in a really good position.
So two things, Rick. First of all, the Xfinity cars don't have the electronic dash and all the data like the Cup cars have, where their teams can really calculate the fuel live from the information. The second thing is I love my man Chris Rice, but I have done what he did right there multiple times, which is we're half a lap short, but we're good to the end. But if you save us a little gas, it would be pretty good. Yeah. I know, Dale, I've given you those stories before in our career, like, hey, we're kind of all, just save me some gas. Just save me a little extra.
The other part about that was funny was, hey, and those two in front of me, they're running out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, but part of that information that came to AJ was because he doesn't have the speed that the two in front of him do, right? So if these two guys, if Briscoe and Cindric are faster, lap in and lap out, do you really want to go try to keep that pace? Do you really want to go do that if you can save fuel, if you don't think you can run them down? Cindric, though, I don't know what kind of problems he's had, but Briscoe has pulled way out on that lap.
And an issue there, Riley Herbst through the grass.
That's on the back stretch.
Nothing else now. Just entering.
He pulled some of the grass and the dirt into the chicane. We'll see how. Like a lot of damage to the front.
These drivers are doing a great job of managing it as these tires get hotter and slicker and more worn.
Looks like he just got the wheel hopping in the braking zone, way too hot into the braking zone there. Probably the best thing that could have happened to him was to spin that car backwards through the grass. You see what it does to the splitters a lot of times when those cars go into those areas nose first. But it's going to cost him a few spots. But he can return and continue.
We heard his teammate talking about, Harrison Burton talking about how he has wheel hop issues. Wonder if there's not something with all the cars having issues with wheel hop, the JGR cars.
We know a lot of guys are concerned about fuel mileage and what their issues are and how they're going to finish this race. Let's see if the 98 boys, the leaders, are talking about it.
I mean, if we have an opportunity to save any fuel, and I know that sounds crazy, just saying, if we get a little bit of a bigger lead here, we're close.
A lot of confidence there on the radio. If you can save me a little bit, we're close. I'm just saying. All right, let's go through the field. We'll start with Dave.
And starting the day for the 98, remember how that wasn't good? They started on rain tires when the rest of the field started on slicks and had to come in and change them, but they got a caution to do that and were able to then cycle with the leaders throughout the day and have a very aggressive ride to the front. The 98 leads and is trying to win another inaugural event in the Xfinity Series. As for Austin Cindric, remember he was told, save your stuff, longest run of the day. No other reports from them. They should be on about the same fuel mileage as the leader, Chase Briscoe. Parker?
Well, Dave, A.J. Allmendinger in third, who's trying to chase those two down, was brought into Kaulig Racing a while back to help them make their road course program better. He has done that, and he's doing that again here today. This is a brand new car for Kaulig Racing that they're trying to develop, see if they can make some improvements. I don't know if it's got a passing grade yet, but he just put the fastest lap on the track, so maybe it's getting better here for him. Harrison Burton run behind him, having a great run in the top 5, and Jeff alluded to, has been struggling with brakes. Wheel hop has been a huge issue, and I think brakes will be a massive discussion point for the whole Joe Gibbs Racing team in their Monday morning meeting. He told me coming into this, he just wanted to run to where they felt like they were speed-wise. I think he's done that and some here in the top 5, Dave.
Brandon Jones in the yellow 19 car, he has had a little brake hop issue, as has his teammate Riley Herbst, but he's really gotten it together here near the end. And remember, his team told him earlier, save it for the final stage. Brandon's running very consistent as the laps wind down, Dylan.
And Dave, right behind him is Andy Lally in that 0-2 car. A team effort throughout this season. Remember, Brent Moffitt spends most of his time in this 0-2 car. They sit 15th in owner points, and because of this new starting lineup metric and Andy's P5 finish last week at Road America, that's allowed them to have a upfront starting spot here today. Andy's done a great job keeping his nose clean, keeping that car inside the top 10. Right behind him there in the 7 car is Justin Allgaier. Remember, they are rebounding from an extra pit stop they made on lap 19 for a left front flat spot on that tire. So feel like they've had good speed this year. The opportunities have been there, just haven't capitalized. That's another opportunity missed that Riley Herbst goes and spins around.
Yeah, Riley Herbst struggling now a bit.
You look like another
wheel hop.
Yeah, it looked like a wheel hop. Either he got in there just too deep and locked up the tires, or he was in there too deep because he had wheel hop, but definitely too much speed into that left-hander, turn 6, and the 18 car spins around again.
If you have wheel hop, it's only going to get worse on a long run because, you know, the front brakes get hot and they don't work as well, and the rear brakes work better, and it just makes it worse as the run goes on.
Explain wheel hop, by the way. We say it a lot.
You saw the left rear wheel. You can see it lock up. It essentially just stopped. And it's just literally literally are hopping up and down. Look at the back of the car, how much it's moving around. It's just the rear brakes are working more than the front brakes. And then you got the downshift, you're going down in the gears, which is putting RPMs in the engine, and it just literally hops the rear tires.
And so Riley Herbst has had some issues. It was the backstretch chicane, now another part of the infield where he got turned around. So Riley Herbst was running, and big damage there for Bamber. So Bamber struggling now mightily.
Stay on the apron all the way back around.
I think that's in the backstretch bus stop. It looked like, as we were showing Riley Herbst come through there, he went back through that hole, driver's right. We continue to talk about it. And this time, guys, he was not as fortunate to get by everything. You could see the heavy, heavy damage. Not the first to have this damage today.
Yeah, so Earl Bamber went to Richard Childress in 2007.
I can't even see you right now. All right, there you are. All right, keep rolling to the apron here if you can.
In 2007, he went to Richard Childress Racing and RC and said, hey, can I drive one of your race cars? Man.
Holy
They almost flipped over.
So all of that debris is over there in the chicane. He's going to pull his car
up. He's shutting it down, which
down in turn 3 of.
We're probably going to see a caution come out here.
In the chicane. He's going to pull his car up.
He's shutting it down, which
down in turn 3 of.
We're probably going to see a caution come out here.
Yeah, shut it off if you don't have oil pressure. Sorry.
See right here, he just gets in too deep. It looks. Oh my goodness.
And he was prophetic when he talked to us this week. Remember, he said those curbs are worth some speed, but they will destroy your race car.
He did. He told us how dangerous it was to go through the bus stop and look at the debris everywhere. And now the caution has come out on the racetrack. So now we have all these fuel conversations. This is a chance to save fuel, but now are tires worth anything? Do you pit? Do you protect for overtime? The pressure goes right to the top of the pit boxes in the pit decision.
Okay, crew chief, if you thought you were going to make it right to the end, are you still saying, all right, just save me as much fuel as you can here, we're not coming in?
Yes, if I'm Briscoe or Cindric, I'm staying on the racetrack. I know we saw them pit at Road America a week ago, but I think new tires are worth a ton at Road America. Here, the tire seems very hard. I think cooling off, the speed will come back. That's my opinion. We'll see what Briscoe and Cindric do, though. I mean, the race is between those two. The question is, and Jeff, you said it on that Road America coverage. I was watching the coverage of you and DJ, and you were shocked that more people in the 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th position didn't stay on the racetrack. So now we're a week later. We're going to have more laps. Would you stay out or pit? I stay on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's hard to give up that track position. It really depends. I mean, it's 28 cars in the lead lap, right? So the question, you just don't know who else is going to pit with you.
Right.
But if you're running, you know, think about Riley Herbst. Like, he was just running 4th with a good race car. Because of his issues, he's pretty far back, 13th. Maybe he pits, tries to make something happen.
The only thing I will say, what we learned last week, is if you do pit, they probably will all follow you. Not sure I love that call for everybody else. So, you know, we saw the 22 recover, come through traffic once before. The 22 and the 98 have the best 2 cars. They might come and get tired. You know, here, then this is the problem. It's a coin flip, right? I don't think there's a... You tell me what everybody else is going to do, Rick, and I'll tell you what you should do.
Yeah, of course.
I know it sounds like a smart answer, but that's really the truth. The game of chess is a moving target.
Yeah, we saw the AMR safety team working there with Earl Bamber. Let's listen into the 98 radio.
Think we'll be pitting here? Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like Atlanta and Darlington in a road course. It's freaking awesome. Bring it to us.
Oh, there you go. See, that's the information I didn't have. That's great communication from driver to crew chief and a driver that's got... Let me explain what I'm doing out here. I am slipping and sliding everywhere. Tires are going to help me.
Do they leave him out? I mean, you leave him hanging.
Not after
Everybody's going to follow him?
I think they all follow him. And I think, you know, there's just not enough speed with some of these cars. I think, you know, if you look at Michael Annett in 14th or Clements in 10th, they can't risk going off track and giving up the points. I think they're kind of just racing. You know, the question is, what about Andy Lally in 5th? Right? If he can start on the front row, does he feel he has enough road course experience to nurse those old tires? It's still a very tough call.
Well, his reference to Atlanta and other tracks.
Right.
That's just talking about the tire wear and how much the speed has come out of the tires.
It scared me into changing my decision. I was staying out till I heard that.
He also said it was awesome how great it was. They fell off that much.
Pit road is open. They've got a little ways to go here until they get there.
I think they're going to purposely follow the pace car, right?
They're going to clean up the bus stop. Obviously a lot of debris there, so that's why they didn't take them through the bus stop.
Remember, we've seen some pit road penalties. We saw a lap penalty on AJ Allmendinger. We saw some guys having a hard time getting in and out of the pits, so we're going to have to be really clean right here.
Looking back at lap time, Steve, it looks like throughout that run, they fell off about 4 seconds. You know, that's a lot. Yeah, that makes that decision. You're going to drop the green here with what? 7 to go? 6 to go at the most?
Yeah, 25 miles. That's a long ways around. And, you know, the other problem around here is unlike a Sonoma where there's not a lot of places to go, you know, the infield gets kind of tight, but if you are behind on tires and you don't accelerate out of turn 6, that is a long straightaway. You mentioned it, Dale, right? If you don't get out of that corner right, 2, 3, 4 cars can go by you down that straightaway if you just have no tire to accelerate with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple long acceleration, long straightaways coming out of the backstretch chicane where you have to have good drive off, and if you don't, it's gonna show up through that entire length before the next braking zone.
All right, Rick, all the decisions you see, crew chiefs, I just did it the last 3 minutes on air.
Okay.
I started with staying on the racetrack.
Yep.
I listened to a driver. Now I'm convinced I'm coming to pit road.
And you were able to talk it out with all of us.
Talked it all out.
So let's find out.
That's right.
And it looks as though everyone is going to follow the Pied Piper right now. Chase Briscoe leading everyone down pit road. Parker.
not to make you feel bad, Steve, but it was never even a question for the 16 car of AJ Allmendinger whether they're going to put 4 tires on this car. They did an air pressure adjustment in the rear to try to give him a little bit more drive off the corners. He's been struggling with that. Still full of fuel on the 16, Dave.
Middle of your screen, Chase Briscoe and his team debated so hard on whether to change that race car because it was so good. Very slight air pressure adjustment for him. Meanwhile, the 22 of Austin Cindric, bottom of your screen, he described his car as indescribably bad in terms of the drive off the corner. They'll try to make a major adjustment for him to win the race.
So the race off of pit road. Top 3, top 4 holding their position. Harrison Burton grabs a spot off of pit road. I mentioned earlier Earl Bamber went to Richard Childress Racing back in 2007 to ask him if he could, at some point in time, race one of his race cars in NASCAR because he wanted to. Well, he got the opportunity, but today it didn't end the way he wanted it to. It's going to be a shootout for the UNOH 188 at the Daytona Road Course for the Xfinity Series. And before we see that green flag fly, maybe for the last time here in this race, or we might have more than one restart, let's go to the Charlotte NBC Sports studio and Krista, Brad, and DJ.
Well, Rick, this race has certainly kept us on the edge of our seats. It has been wild. It has been crazy. At the start of the day, Brad, your word was intentions. What have you seen? And maybe more importantly, how will this end?
Well, I think it's been an interesting race. Everything's built up to this moment. The thing I was trying to figure out is who would take a chance and stay out. We heard about the fall off of the tires, but I thought someone like Andy Lally, who's an excellent road racer, may stay on the track, DJ, and take a chance and try to hold these guys off for about 6 or 7 laps.
Yeah, I didn't realize the fall off was quite that much with these tires, but it would have been fun to see such a great road racer like that take that chance, get a little bit of a cushion, maybe jump out there. But now it's going to be, now we're going to watch and see what Briscoe and Cindric and AJ can all do. I love it when something, we build it up and it delivers, because this has been a great, fun afternoon of racing to watch.
Well, it wasn't that long ago. The last lap of stage 2 between Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe was absolutely thrilling. How about, Rick, this last lap of the race?
We're on the edge of our seat here. And again, the Booth boys here, we're at Charlotte Motor Speedway calling this one, but we're on the edge of our seat watching it.
Well, we're going to be on the edge of our seat for this restart. 3 cars stayed on the racetrack, Curry, Weatherman, and Snyder. And why that matters, that it's an odd number, is the 98 of Briscoe now lines up on row 2. Allmendinger and Cindric, row 3 drivers. Is this advantage 98? 1 row higher and has the outside into turn 1, or do you like the 22 having the bottom?
Well, the 98's going to have to clear these guys into turn 1. He's not going to be able to have an advantage if he can't get around them before that turn. You don't want to be on the outside of that entire corner. The 22, he's going to have such a great restart to be able to get down on the inside of those guys all the way down into the corner, and that'll be an aggressive move to have to make.
We've seen him do it multiple times, though. We've seen him on the bottom 3 wide into turn 1 on restarts. He'll certainly be trying to make it happen. This is the first time these guys on the front row have been up front all day and on old tires.
7-lap shootout in front of them. Curry Weatherman and Snyder up there on old tires, spinning the tires on the restart.
There you see it, the 98 to the outside. He's going to try to outbreak these guys all the way down the corner. And all going to shove the 47 into the corner. They're all going to miss it.
They all missed the corner. They all tucked themselves into out.
Big contact.
Yeah, big contact here.
And falling way back now.
Allmendinger in the 98. Oh, we got a car spinning. The 36 hard into the guardrail. The 98's around.
Briscoe with damage to the 98. The front end damage. You said the 36 also around. That's Preston Pardis.
18 around.
Yellow's out here.
What a mess.
Riley Herbst also around. The window net down for Pardis.
Everyone missed the corner. Couldn't believe it.
They all did. A little aggressive.
Remember the Roval?
Yes.
First year of the Roval, where everybody drove into turn 1 on a late race restart?
Yep.
That's what we just saw there.
So it looks like.
And look at all the damage.
I got no brake pedal.
That looks like excessive camber on that left front of the 98.
All right, here's what happened. This is going to be a lot to take in. A lot of pushing.
Watch the 16.
Goes 47. Yeah, and he just pushes the 47.
But everybody is missing the corner here. The 19 gets through there clean. The 7. Look at the contact with the 16 and 98 there. That hurt the right front of the 98. And he's off in the grass. There's just so much going on here.
Pardis got turned in the 36. Later, Riley Herbst around in the 18. Take another look.
Look at all of the smoke in the front tires.
A big whoops.
I don't mean to laugh, but like the apex, where you want to be is those yellow barrels. They drove by that. Wheels locked.
There's nothing wrong with finding things humorous in racing.
I mean, look at this.
It's funny because we're not driving them.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, look at the track over the left. It was completely clear.
That contact right there with really hurt the 98.
Brandon Jones is the only one who gets through here clean. He's in the yellow number 19 up there on the left.
They're all wrecking up there. Still inside. They're off to your right. They're off to your right. Stay to the left. All clear. All clear. Watch them in front of you wrecking again. Still wrecking. They're still wrecking in front of you. Right side, right side, right side.
It was pretty easy for us to follow with that Winstax camera, but yeah, they're all wrecking. They're all wrecking.
They're still wrecking.
They're all wrecking.
Then what was the next line? They're wrecking again in front of you.
They're wrecking again in front of you.
They're still wrecking.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you mentioned the left front looked over camera. There's some pretty severe damage on this side for the 98 of Chase Briscoe.
So you know what would be really interesting is like you could gain 4 or 5 spots depending on when the caution came out, right? Because so many positions change hands. See that grass on that 20 car? Well, they have to pit to get that off.
So the 98, a lot of damage. Chase Briscoe definitely one of the favorites coming into this final restart. Let's listen into the 16 radio of A.J. Allmendinger and his team.
I don't know. I got KO'd in the left side. It would be the 98 that KO'd you. Tried to turn you around in front of the field. Just FYI, 98 car again. 98, 9-8.
I think Chris Rice wanted to make sure he
was pretty clear.
98.
Yeah, he was pretty clear there with that, I think.
We went 2 digits. We went 1 digit. We went 9-8.
And he threw it again in there.
Pull on the left front fender.
He did.
Hit that aluminum panel right there.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Yeah.
There you go. Put the tire on.
Point.
So back on pit road. 4 fresh good years.
Now, let's go. Let's go.
And will 5 laps, actually it'll probably be 4 laps. Will it be enough? 4 laps for A.J. Allmendinger.
He's going to be starting so far back. It's going to be a challenge. But if turn 1 looks like that again, there's no telling how many cars he could pass. See pretty heavy damage on the 98 of Briscoe.
I mentioned clean through turn 1, Brandon Jones. Well, also the guy who got through there that's very good is Allgaier. Justin Allgaier, a good road course racer. He was able to get through there clean.
And Cindric, I also think, kind of squeaked through there with very little damage. There you go. There's Cindric right there. And you mentioned the lineup, Jeff. It seems at the time of the yellow, that's going to, I would assume this is the lineup. We'll see when NASCAR makes it official, but it looks like Cindric will be lining up second.
Well,
big advantage.
Well, I said it incorrectly when I was talking with Brad and DJ earlier that this could be the last restart. It definitely wasn't and might still not be, right, DJ?
I was chuckling, Rick, I'll have to say, that thinking that was going to be the last green flag of this race as we get down to the end of these things. And, these guys, they know how much this means. They're here with an opportunity to go try to win the race, a lot of pushing and shoving, and we haven't seen the last of that. I think that Justin Allgaier is going to put his nose in there and try to make things happen. And Andy Lally also, Brad, you brought him up. He made some good moves there, too, so he's right in the mix. But exactly what we expect from this Xfinity Series. Every weekend, it's just outstanding racing right to the finish.
Yeah, I thought this is what we'd see on lap 1, though. I didn't think we'd be seeing it with 6 to go. But, yeah, just over-aggressive racing, no doubt about it. Austin Cindric has got himself in a great position. When one guy goes off, everyone just kind of follows. And I was watching the 22, and he kind of meandered off the path just a little bit and then got it back on shape. So it's going to be interesting to watch these next 5 laps, see who can survive. But I like where Andy Lally's at. I'm pulling for him. I want to see Andy have a great finish, and he's put himself in a good spot.
All right, Brad, DJ, you guys hang tight. We might be coming back to you here. Hopefully we'll see a checkered flag. Dylan.
And guys, Justin Allgaier had a interesting view of that calamity down in turn number 1. Listen to what he had to say.
That was exciting right there.
Yeah, not from this view. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, but
I mean, not a single one of those cars in front of you slowed down enough to make that corner, except for the 19.
dude, I couldn't believe it. Like, I watched them all get in there, and I'm like, none of them are making. I just slowed up early.
Now, we talked at the beginning of the show about how Justin and Jason Burdett, the crew chief, feel like they've had good speed. They've had good opportunities presented to them. They just haven't been able to capitalize. Can they capitalize on this one? They'll restart up front here, Dave.
And Brandon Jones will restart up front. Remember what Jeff Mendering, his crew chief, told us earlier this year about his road course development? He used to run a lot of extra races in the Trans Am TA2 division, but they got away from that this year, let Brandon do his own thing to learn on his own and really make improvements. He's done that here today. He's only got to hold off Austin Cindric and the rest of the field, guys.
Yeah, our scoring monitor had Allgaier in front of Cindric, but as we're seeing now, Cindric is going to start on the front row, and Chase Briscoe disappointingly out of his race car.
That's a huge opportunity for Cindric. If he get this win, it gives him that many more points. His biggest competitor for this regular season championship's out of the race now.
Look at Denny. For the 36 guys following me into turn 1 tomorrow, enter at your own risk.
My braking points are not exact, and you will likely miss the corner.
Oh, my goodness. All right, here we go. We're going to try it again. It'll be 5 laps to go. This time it's Brandon Jones and Austin Cindric making up row 1.
Brandon did a great job getting the launch.
Oh, we got one back around.
Buford's going to go around in the 07. It looks like he had some help. They stack up behind him.
Oh, goodness.
Big wreck behind him.
There's Allmendinger got a lot of spots right there.
Keep her on. Let's get around these guys.
I know he has a lot of ground to make up, but he's battle for the lead.
Cindric to the outside. Brandon Jones on the inside. Brandon Jones blocking, moves out. Now through turn 4, the kink.
Will the 22 try to break him into this corner?
How
to the
aggressive.
outside again.
Tries the outside. Can he make the pass?
If he could just stay on the outside, he'll have the preferred line for this next corner.
That is so impressive to be able to drive in the corner that much deeper than your competition and stay next to them.
Oh, he's loose into turn 6.
Slides up the racetrack.
Did a great job staying off the 19 car.
Cindric back out front at Daytona. It's Austin Cindric. Then Brandon Jones in the 19, Justin Allgaier, Andy Lally, and Myatt Snyder, the top 5. Haven't talked a lot about Myatt Snyder, a lot of experience when he raced over in Europe last year.
And Myatt's out there on much older tires than everybody else.
Working through that bus stop. Austin Cindric. Now about a 5-car length lead. Only driver to win 5 times in 6 races was Sam Ard back in 1983. Austin Cindric trying to join Sam. Austin Cindric, his last 5 races have been 4 wins and a 2nd place finish. 1.2 is his average finish over the last 5 races. And he's looking very strong here again.
This is the last restart on the roof of the 26 car. Watching the 07 get kind of turned around there. Some hard contact.
It's Brandon Godovic, just really nothing he could do.
Car's going everywhere into turn 1. My goodness. On the roof of Harrison's car.
Right inside. All 3 wide up in front of you here. Spin in front of you. Check up, check up. You see it. Watch in front of you. Go your right. To your left. Keep digging. Keep digging. Keep digging. No caution yet.
And no caution came out.
So there's A.J. Allmendinger, guys. That pass is for 5th. He's not going to get there, I don't think, with no caution. But if he's able to get a caution, get one more guy, he could start in that 2nd row. he would be a threat to win this race.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing between Austin Cindric and a win is a late yellow with A.J. Allmendinger in striking distance.
It's 3 seconds back right now. Just past Noah Gragson. See some damage there for Allmendinger. Again, he had the penalty. Service outside of the box. Has been able to fight back. And now running up in the top 5. Trying to chase down Andy Lally in that 0-2.
What a solid job he's done all day. He's been there all day, you know, just steady, no mistakes.
Earlier in the race, we saw the 9 of Noah Gragson have an issue, spin into turn 3, connect the tire barrier. Actually, I think it was turn 5, but I mean, he's on quite the run right here when you think about it. He's never been outside the top 10 in 6 road course starts, and here he is recovering back to the 6th position. So showing some consistency in that 9 car.
Allmendinger aggressive, trying to get behind the 0-2 of Lally. See if he can get that spot.
It's just such an important spot to get. You can't win it from here unless there's a problem by Cindric. But again, it's a huge difference, Junior, between starting 5th and starting 4th on a restart.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can get by these guys pretty quickly. He's going to stay on the outside here to have that preferred line. That's probably something the Cup guys are watching. So, man, if I can get to the outside of the guy, I got the position right here in turn 6. Whoa!
He slides in, catches the 7. Allgaier around because Allmendinger tagged him.
Oh, and Justin will be not happy with that. Just more insult to his year.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. AJ trying to get the position from Lally, just gets in there a little bit too deep. You can see it, he's wheel hopping. And once you start wheel hopping, you just can't do anything. You have to, the only way you can stop that is to get off the brake and knock the car out of gear, and that's going to sell him right through the 7 car.
Yeah.
So he's made contacts. He's got a lot of damage to the right front headlight, but as we said, he's trying to put himself in position because he knows he's got a shot if we get a late yellow.
Yeah, just a mistake. A.J. Allmendinger's not a guy just go in there and wreck somebody. He just made a mistake.
There's a little bit of tire smoke off of that car now.
Yeah, seeing it off of the 9 of Gragson as well. And Gragson still fighting, trying to get to Lally, who right now has made his way up into the top 3. So here's a battle for the 3rd spot.
I really like that line that Noah Gragson took through that last chicane, get a much lower, cleaner exit. For that reason, he has position into turn 1.
He takes the position, and Lally patiently behind him, waiting to see if somebody will make another mistake like he just saw.
Back in 6th place, Jeremy Clements. Why is that important? He came into this race outside the bubble battle, 53 points outside the bubble battle, and now he's 29 as we run, 29 points behind Brandon Brown for 12th. Jeremy's a great road racer. Dylan.
And Junior, I talked to Jeremy earlier today. He mentioned that even though they won at Road America a few years ago, they learn more about the road courses each year in each race they're on the racetrack. But they do view these races as opportunities for them. And keep in mind, last week at Road America, they were involved in an incident, got home on Sunday, spent the entire week until 8 p.m. last night, nonstop, working to turn that same car around, getting it fixed and ready to go here today. He said, I feel bad making my guys work like that, but the run he's having today is a nice reward for their hard work.
Just when you think the bubble battle's over, coming into this race, Brandon Brown was up 53 points. He's right now only 28 points up on Jeremy, so you got to keep your eyes on those guys as we go through this season. Great battle here.
Andy was able to get back by Noah.
Oh, and he makes a mistake in the bus stop. Big time.
He's so lucky. Whoever put the splitter on that car, they need to give that guy a raise. I don't know how to survive that.
It stayed. So we would expect Andy Lally not to make a mistake, but here he does.
We've seen cars just explode going through that. Andy was really lucky there to be able to continue.
One lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. And once again, it's Austin Cindric. Over the past 5 races, now make it 6, we have been mentioning this. Austin Cindric and the run that he's on. Before this run started, most of the talk about Austin Cindric was how good he was on road courses. But then you threw in the Kentucky double, where he went back-to-back wins and won on an oval, and all of a sudden Austin Cindric became a great race car driver. Not just a road course racer, but a great race car driver.
This is crazy what he's doing. I mean, you mentioned Sam Ard. Sam Ard is a legend in the Xfinity Series. Compare that run he was on to this one that Austin Cindric is on. It makes you appreciate how impressive Austin Cindric has done these last 2 months.
Well, don't let these closing laps fool you. This was not an uncontested victory. 98 of Chase Briscoe pushed the 22 to the brink a few times. The 22 and the 98 had a heated battle coming to the end of stage 2, but they just continued to push each other. And he found a way through that crazy restart. We saw it, wrecks everywhere. He did his job. He somehow found a way to get this 22. I mean, you look at it, relatively unscathed, Rick, one of the best looking cars on the track.
We heard Mario Andretti talking about watching history. He was talking more about the fact that this was the first time the Xfinity Series would ever be on this road course, or the Cup Series coming in here. But Austin Cindric right now is making history in what he is doing in this series and how dominant he is, especially over the last 6 races, winning 5 out of the last 6 races, and the first ever road course race for the Xfinity Series at Daytona. He comes out, sees the checkered flag. Austin Cindric wins again.
Thanks, guys. Good job today. I didn't do my best for you, but it's good enough. Thanks for a great car. Thank you.
The competition hopes he doesn't bring his best.
Wow, I didn't do my best today, but we did well enough. What a run for Austin Cindric. 5 of the last 6 races he has won. Tying Sam Ard's record set back in 1983. Great company, young man. Austin Cindric wins at Daytona. And he deserves a little celebration. Steve, you mentioned not a lot of damage to that race car. Maybe a donut on the side where there was some contact. That was from Chase Briscoe when the two were fighting for a stage win. And ultimately, it was Cindric that was able to battle it out and win the race here, the first ever road course race at Daytona International Speedway. And frustration here. That's Justin Allgaier.
That was my fault. Yeah. That one was my fault. That's just dumb. Dude, I raced for points. No, Geiger. I'm not fucking trying to come in here and job. I'm on the inside. I start wheel hopping. I'm trying to fight. This is dumb. It was a mistake. I've seen you make a lot of them. I make a lot of mistakes. So, there you go. You've done already made a bunch of mistakes today. I'm trying to get back to the front. Win. I'm done. This is done. You're done? Yeah, I'm done. I like I said, dude, that's my fault.
So obviously we were listening to the audio there. I apologize for the foul language that might have jumped out at us there, but you can tell heated discussion there. Allgaier, remember, he was running up front. We saw Allmendinger get in there, wheel hop. You heard him say it. It was his mistake, but that doesn't help Justin Allgaier at all, who's again running for points. So difficult there for Justin Allgaier and A.J. Allmendinger. Let's go to Dave. He has the race winner.
And the race winner runs up the track, which is tradition, to grab that checkered flag, and that's one he will proudly display because he's won in the inaugural race here on the road course for the Xfinity Series. Austin, and you did it with a car that you weren't that happy with. How would you describe the day?
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone was overly happy with their race cars, you know. Unfortunately, I have a tough perspective of driving really fast, high-grip race cars at this track, but great credit to my team, the Moneyline guys, and everyone that puts together for performance, Roush Chase Engines, obviously everyone at Team Penske for working hard. That's 5 wins on the year, obviously back-to-back now. So really proud of that. I didn't feel like I drove my best today, but we executed there at the end where it counts, and that's what makes these races so difficult to win.
It does put you in great company. Do you realize that 15 years before you were born, Sam Ard won 5 out of 6 in the Xfinity Series, and now you've tied him? What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's incredible, and it takes great race cars and obviously executing races, and I'm proud to be driving this 22 car and contend for wins week to week. So still got a lot of work to do, but this is great for the points for sure.
Austin Cindric, winner here today at the Daytona Road Course. Dylan?
And Dave, we saw Justin Allgaier speaking with A.J. Allmendinger. So Justin, what were you displeased with?
Getting wrecked. I mean, plain and simple, like he just made a dumb decision, and I don't know. Obviously, I've not seen a replay, but it's pretty easy to tell what happened. I don't know if we could have held him off even at the end of the race there, but I mean, he just drove in there and cleaned me out. So, really proud of everybody on this brand fresh and Gold Camaro. We weren't the best today. The guys did a really good job, and made big gains all day. And the pit crew did a great job getting track position. Spotters did awesome. You're just getting me in the right spots, and 2020 has been just like that right there, and I'm over it. And it's not the first time AJ's wrecked me, and it's just hard when the same guy wrecks you over and over again. So.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, let's look at the playoff standings. And after this one, he's going to scratch his head. Justin Allgaier, he's 252 points above that cut line, which Brandon Brown is right at now. Jeremy Clements is below it. But the guys with wins, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, both with 5 now playoff points. Cindric has surged ahead there. But really the fight is going to be for those last spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, Dale mentioned it, right? This came in at 53 points. Brandon Brown had done a nice job to extend it. Jeremy Clements did a nice job to gain back in today. We get a doubleheader at Dover. The Monster Mile is not the type of place I want to try to protect points. Anything can happen there and happen very quickly.
Look at the playoff points that Austin Cindric has, 33. You go down to 6th place. Justin Eddy was 7. So Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe, they've done a great job of getting playoff points. That's going to help them advance through the playoffs. And that first round of the playoffs, guys, that is crazy with the racetracks that are in it. The Roval, Talladega. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to get through that first round, and those extra points will help you do it.
Let's get to the other side of the story with Justin Allgaier and A.J. Allmendinger. Dylan is with A.J.
And Justin, obviously, with some harsh words to say the least. But AJ, what was your take on the move and what was said afterwards?
I mean, he should be mad. That's my fault. I was trying to get. It wasn't anything intentional, but that was my fault. I got in there trying to get under Lally, and honestly, I didn't even drive in that hard. I had the Lally pass done, and as soon as I touched the brake pedal, it started wheel hopping, and as soon as it did, I was just trying to clear out of I was trying to turn right to get away from the 7 and miss him, and I got into him. So he should be mad, and I apologize to his race team. He says I've wrecked him a lot in the past. I'm not really sure of that. If that's the case, I'm sorry. But other than that, I apologize to his race team organization. Prior to Colleague Racing, we worked hard. The Ellsworth Advisor Chevy was not great. We were working hard on it. We were a 3rd place car. The Fords were really quick, but we're going to be best in class there. And can't thank everybody at Colleague Racing, all the men and women, Leaf Filter Gutter Protection, Colleague Companies, all the sponsors that are part of this race team. And yeah, I'm disappointed. I thought I could at least got back to 2nd, and then as soon as I got in the back of Justin, I kind of lost the energy to keep pushing because I just felt bad for it. So whatever he said, I get it. Yeah.
Thanks, AJ.
Good, honest stuff from AJ there. And, we've lived it. Jeff, these guys that are experts at road course racing like AJ, when they come and run these races, they go all out. They are there to win. And we talked about it up to that point, how AJ was pushing as hard as he could to put himself in position to try to get a shot at Cindric had there been a late yellow. And he owned it. And the good thing for Justin is the cars are so spread out that it netted a 9th place finish. It didn't ruin his race. Didn't finish quite as good as he would have, but still it's frustrating. You work all day long and and lose a few spots there because somebody makes a mistake, but that's racing.
All right, we've seen a race at the Daytona road course. What are we expecting tomorrow, guys?
So, advice to all the Cup drivers is go slower into one than you think you need to. Learn that. You know,
how about that bus stop?
Yeah, I was gonna say go slower there too.
Yeah. There's a lot of learning that happened today, not only by the drivers, but the crew chiefs, the teams, and all the people watching. And it will be fun to see tomorrow who can apply that, who can take from the day the most and apply that. And there was just so much going on today. A lot for those guys to take in.
I think we're going to see basically what we saw today, but a much more competitive field from front to back. I think it'll be a closer race from front to back, a lot more contested positions into all of these corners throughout the day, and I think that'll lead to more mistakes.
I agree. Depth of field, 10th, 15th, 20th, I think it's all going to be contested. What we saw today was a mistake. You can get away with a mistake in some areas, you can't in others. You're going to have to be lucky to make your mistake and still have a chance to recover. That bus stop, it gobbles them up back there, Rick. Gobbles them up.
Well, we mentioned it at the top of the show, history. We were going to see history. We've seen it out of Austin Cindric. 5 out of the last 6 races, Austin Cindric has been able to visit victory lane. He is definitely the hottest driver in the Xfinity Series, and right now maybe the hottest driver in NASCAR at just under 22 years old. Well, tomorrow on NBC, the Cup Series will take their turn on the Daytona road course. Race coverage beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern. And we saw a lot of battling, a lot of fighting, a lot of taking and giving. We're probably not going to see a lot of that because coming up next, it's hockey, Tampa Bay and Columbus. Let's go to Toronto. Gord Miller.